call for help, and they responded, only to pay with their lives. Fredericton Police Constables Rob Costello and Sara Burns, killed in the line of duty. Good morning, I'm Harry Forrestal, coming to you live from Fredericton, New Brunswick, where today thousands are gathering along a ceremonial route to witness the funeral procession, a regimental funeral in honor of Constables Rob Costello and Sara Burns. A community of peace officers that spans the continent represented here today, and of course, so many people from the community of Fredericton. A city, yes, but also an intimate place where the degrees of separation are startlingly few. Many gathered along this parade route will probably have crossed paths with the officers being honored today, or will know someone who did. We're going to hear from some of them along the parade route, and of course our reporters are on the scene as well. We're joined by Kayla Hounsell, Shane Fowler, and Julia Wright. They'll be speaking to people along the parade route and putting some context on today's events. For now, though, let's just digest a bit of this remarkable sight. You can see the umbrellas are up. It is not a great weather day in Fredericton, perhaps reflective of the occasion. Nonetheless, people have come out in their hundreds and probably their thousands by the time we're done this, huddled along for comfort and dryness along a parade route that will extend from Fredericton High School all the way to the Aitken Centre, which is an arena at the University of New Brunswick here in Fredericton. This is an event nobody wanted to see happen, but it has happened. And we're going to examine some of the reaction to it, some of the impact it's had on this community and on the people, and of course, especially on the people in uniform, the first responders, the people who run to danger rather than away from it. I'm joined today by Roger Brown. You may recognize that name. Roger Brown was the former assistant commissioner, effectively the commanding officer of the RCMP in New Brunswick, and led the force, I dare say, through its darkest days in 2014 when 3 RCMP officers were killed in Moncton, a terrible event. And Roger, you have since retired. Thank you for joining us here today. And as we look at some of those pictures of people lining the parade route, waiting for this ceremonial procession to begin, I want to get a sense from you of how important this event is for the officers in uniform.
Well, first of all, it shows how much the community stand behind not only the the police officers that were killed in duty, but police officers in general on a daily basis, and that's important. And oftentimes, police work can be a very lonely profession. Yeah. And oftentimes you're going in, as you know, when others are coming out, and this is just it's a reassurance that your job is not in vain, that you're actually doing what you're sworn to do, and that is to, we use the term serve and protect, but it goes beyond that. It's not to serve and protect in the context of always operational. Police officers are humans. Police officers form part of the communities, and when I drove into Fredericton this morning, and when I look around what's happening today, you get this huge sense of community support. Yeah. Every Canadian flag is half-mast. You go to Tim Hortons, people are there to assist, and we've all lived through it through the number of ceremonies that we've had.
There is a discernible depth of feeling about what has happened in this city in the past week. You retired in 2016, but I know you keep your ear close to the ground for news of what happens with the force. Tell me what your first thoughts were when you heard about the shooting last Friday.
I know it's interesting. A friend of mine who's a serving member called to tell me, and my mind immediately went back to 2014, to the exact moment where I was when I received the call, and it's almost reliving a nightmare, if you will. And the difference between the two is when I received the call, being in the job at the time, I really didn't know what I faced. Having received the call this time, I knew the emotions that were attached to it, and my thoughts immediately went to the members on scene,
Of course.
the members' families,
Yes,
those who
yes.
support the members when they come home. Chief Fitch,
Yeah.
the Fredericton Police Force, their organization, and what they would be going through in the next days, weeks, months, and years, to be quite frank.
Yeah.
And that's never an easy thing, and it's reliving a nightmare.
It doesn't end today, not by a
doesn't end
long
today.
stretch. Well, we'll talk more about that, Roger Brown. Thank you for being here with us. I want to take you back to the scene on the street as the motorcycle riders lead off the ceremonial parade to the Aiken Center in Fredericton. This is a live look, and the procession's being led by, as you can see, the motorcycle outriders, followed by, I believe, an RCMP police vehicle. This is the bands, the masked bands, the pipes and drums. They are comprised of the various bands that have come together to play at this event, from J Division RCMP that Roger Brown was speaking about, as well as the Fredericton Firefighters Pipes and Drums, the St. John Firefighters Pipe Band. And they will be followed by the hearses, 2 hearses carrying Constable Sara Burns and the second, Constable Rob Costello. Now you might get a glimpse of a horse in this procession. That horse is Grimsby, co-owned by Sara Burns and a constable colleague, Stefan de Corsi. We understand she loved that horse. There you can see among the uniforms, Grimsby being led by Constable de Corsi. Now, Kayla Hansel is along the parade route. I think she's going to join us. Kayla, tell us where you are and what's happening there right now.
Waiting for that procession that you have just been describing. We can just start to hear it. It's going to come down this street here behind me. We can see the beginning of the procession now. And we've been watching the thousands of law enforcement personnel and emergency responders that have come from across the continent. But as you can see, there are hundreds of average folks here from Fredericton who want to be here to witness this today. And we have some of them with us now. We have Claire and John Brigham. And please come in. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I know you have a very special reason for being here. Your daughter is in this parade. Tell us about her.
Yeah, she is. She's from the Edmonton Police Service, and she came home today to show her respect and to march in the procession.
It's very emotional for you.
It is. It's very emotional. It makes me very proud to have a daughter in police service, and it's just so sad that it's happened, what happened here in Fredericton.
She grew up in Fredericton.
She did.
And she wanted to come home. Why was it important to her to be here?
She knows some members on the Fredericton Police Force, and she wanted to come home and show her support, and she wanted to march in the procession too. I mean, she's a very proud member of Edmonton Police Service, but she's also from home here, right? So she wanted to come back home. So, yeah.
You're proud.
Very proud, very
I can
proud.
see that. John, why is it important for you to be here to witness this today? Not enough just to stay home and watch on TV, but to be here despite this weather.
Well, absolutely, for the city, number one, and for our daughter, for sure, and just to be proud of our city of Fredericton. Yeah.
Show our support.
Show our support.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We love this city.
Well, you've been here early, staking out your place. I know that, and I know it's important to you to see her go by. So we're going to let you go do that.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great
We have some other guests that we want to bring in now. We have Rob Allaby, who is one of the coach of the Varsity Red Prospects, and this is Brady Wood. Thank you for being here with us. Rob, why did you bring the boys today? I know they're down here with a large banner. It's a beautiful banner and showing their support.
Yeah, we're here to respect the families. The Burns family are a very good hockey family. They, one of their younger boys is a member of our team, the 06 team. So we're here to show our support.
How do you deal with that when he's dealing with so much? How can you and your team support him in this time?
Well, we're here. We're here for him, for the family. Any questions? We have a banner here today to show our support.
The team are young. How old are you, Brady?
I'm 13.
13 years old. So how do you begin to sort of explain this to kids this age?
It's very difficult. You know, you let the kids absorb it, and you answer questions. And try not to get too deep into it. Just tell them that we'll get through it.
Brady, I understand your dad is a first responder.
Yeah.
What does he do? Tell me about him.
He's a firefighter for Fredericton, and he's marching in that today.
What do you think about that?
I think it's cool, but sad at the same time that he's doing it.
Why is it important for you to be here, to watch your dad, but also be here with your teammates?
Yeah, it's important because I want to show support to Burnsy and their family. And so, yeah.
Okay. We'll let you get back down there with them. They've got a large banner, so we'll let you help them carry it. Thank you for being here with us. You can see the procession is getting closer now, Harry, with hundreds of people watching, everybody wanting to pay their respects along this parade route.
Hearing a lot of that word respect, Kayla. Thanks very much for that. Kayla Hounsel along the parade route. Now, Shane Fowler is also there. Shane, you're just watching the approach of this ceremonial parade.
That's right, Harry. I'm up here right where the parade is started and left out of the Fredericton High School lot. And right now we're stopped a bit, but we're next to paramedics. And so far, the amount of police forces that have gone by is humbling. We've seen RCMP from across the country. We've seen police officers from Kensington, Prince Edward Island, the Halifax Regional Police Force. Hundreds of members are here. We've seen the St. John Police Force, as well as members of the Ontario Police Force, Miramichi, and just hundreds of police officers. With hundreds of people lining the streets here to pay their respects. And we saw earlier, following the hearse of Constable Sara Burns, we saw her horse, Grimsby, and in the stirrups is a pair of empty boots that have been placed there. And we're told that she loved that horse. That was her beloved horse, a member of the family, and it was very important that animal be a part of this procession. And that animal, that horse, that gray horse, is actually leading the Fredericton Police Force. They were the first ones a part of this parade, right after the two hearses that took place, and it was started with police officers on motorcycles, and we're seeing more motorcycles go by here. These are from Quebec, and it was astounding before this parade even began that we saw the amount of different license plates from police officers and cars from across the country. So these Quebec license plate vehicles, they came from Quebec, and it was pouring rain this morning. It rained hard last night, so we don't know if they came this morning or they came last night, but not the best conditions at all for motorcycling. And but it doesn't matter of the conditions. It doesn't matter how much rain has poured this morning. People are still here out front and taking part of this parade out of respect for both Constable Rob Costello and Constable Sara Burns. Harry?
And Shane, important to make the point as well that this is not exclusively police officers in this ceremonial procession. In fact, there are a lot of other first responders, 911 operators, ambulance attendants, paramedics, quite a range of services.
Absolutely.
But
we saw
the people who are...
Yeah, we even saw... we saw people from forest rangers here. New Brunswick's Department of Natural Resources. We saw ground search and rescue teams here. Military police are here. It's not just members of the police force, Harry.
All right, Shane, thanks very much. We'll check in with you as the procession carries on. I want to bring in Roger Brown again. And Roger, this, I'm certain, brings back memories for you. You were at the center of the storm in Moncton in 2014 for the burial of 3 of your officers.
So, guys, this is wrapped up
I can't
here.
imagine how difficult that must have been. But what memories do you have as you watch this?
Well, you know, you look at any of those members in uniform or any of those first responders in uniform, you see it on their face how emotional it is, how difficult this day is in going through. But what I constantly reflect back on is the community, how everybody works together, how everybody comes together. And you just mentioned about the first responders themselves. And in the past, you know, 911, EMS, firefighters. They were all there in a major incident all the way through, but never exposed to what we see today. And it's really nice to see now that all first responders are coming together. They're part of the parade. They're part of the procession. They're given credit for their role in these events as they move forward, and that's the focus of moving forward.
How big an impact does all of this ceremony have on a group like the Fredericton Police Force right now, who are obviously grieving the loss of two of their own members? How much does this help?
Well, it's huge. First of all, as you know, Chief Fitch allowed all the members of the Fredericton Police Organization to take the time they needed to bereave, and the New Brunswick Association of Chiefs of Police, they came in to assist in the policing of the city in moving forward. And today you see that they're part of the parade, which means there's police officers from everywhere else that have assumed that role. And essentially what it tells people is you're not alone. We're in this as one big family, one big law enforcement family, one big first responder family in working together. And knowing you're not alone, because oftentimes in positions like this, whether it's the chief, whether it's Chief Fitch, whether it's the deputy or other police chiefs in the area, you do feel alone. You feel lonely. And knowing that you lost your own, which is a chief's worst nightmare, there's a reassurance, if you will, that at the worst of times, people come together, and who supports us or who supports them when they're at their lowest? It's when others come together, and it's that sense of comfort seeing all these people come together.
Certainly gratifying sight for members of the Fredericton Police Force, but obviously too for the families at the center of this, the Burns family, the Costello family, the friends that will be here today must take great comfort in seeing the respect shown to the family members they've lost. So this parade now turning from Priestman Street in Fredericton onto Regent Street, which is a main drag down the center of the city. It will continue on to the Aitken Center on the grounds of the University of New Brunswick, where today's funeral service will take place. I don't know if we can get a shot inside yet of the Aitken Center. Some dignitaries have already arrived. We'll get a look at that a little later. The procession pausing now until everyone catches up. I think at this point it's likely that the tail end of this procession may not have even left the marshalling point. But thankful that the rain is holding off, because it came down with quite a bit of force just about an hour ago. This looks like a group of firefighters. Let's now take a look inside the Aitken Center if we can. Now, we'll come back to that a little bit later. You can see the motorcycle riders there accompanying the two hearses. And people crowding the sidewalks on both sides. So this is a heavily anticipated event for Fredericton. And I have to say, walking around downtown, talking to people, asking them if they were going to be here today, many expected to.
No, I gave you room to.
Now, CBC reporters have spoken with the families of both Rob Costello and Sara Burns over the past few days. They've been very gracious in letting us into their lives and talking about the loss of their loved ones. Let's hear a little bit of that tape now from Jackie McLean, the widow of Robert Costello.
He really was an astoundingly amazing person. And I know that a lot of times when someone passes, people say that. But in Rob's case, he was. And I've said before that he was the best person that I've ever known. And he really was. He had an extraordinary moral compass. He was extraordinarily generous. He made me want to be a better person. And I am so very, very blessed that he chose me to spend his life with. And it's so very difficult for me to realize that I don't have that anymore. And one of the things that Rob always said is that if something ever happened to him, he didn't want us to cry. And so I've been trying really hard not to. But then he wanted us to remember him for how funny he was. And all the good times that we had together. And he was incredibly funny. And he was, he had a sense of humor that was unparalleled. And we had so many good times together. And he would want us to remember that, and I'm sure that people will.
That's Jackie McLean, the widow of Constable Rob Costello, talking about the man who made such an impact on so many lives in this city. Sara Burns, his colleague, a very different person. She really valued her privacy. And I spoke with her husband a couple of days ago, Stephen Burns, and he talked about how she really didn't enjoy a lot of attention from people. She was a doer. Stephen Burns offered a note to the public of Fredericton. And in it, he said, "We are so proud of the person and the human being that Sara was, and we will miss her dearly. All this attention would be terrifying to her, to say the least. Instead, she would want each and every person who is grieving to know that she absolutely loved what she did for a living, and the most important people in the world were her two families, her immediate family and the Fredericton Police Force." A memorial fund has been set up in Burns' name through the Fredericton Community Foundation. The family plans to use the money raised to make fellow officers and the community safer. So that message from Stephen Burns about his wife, Sara. I've spoken to friends of Sara Burns as well, who said as much as she valued her privacy in day-to-day life, when she put the uniform on, she became a very different person.
She's almost like a ray of sunshine, right? You're those people that smile when you talk to them. They're always kind and ask a lot of questions and very inquisitive. And, great mom, great wife, and just one of those people in the community we need more people of. So, that's what I could say about her. Her drive to be a police officer is pretty amazing. 35 years old. Decided she wanted to be a police officer. Had to go back to school, take criminology, and go through that process, and then go to Holland College. And when you have 3 boys in a house, it's quite a little operation to do that. So kudos to her and Stephen to do that.
It's Brian Jones, a very close family friend to Steve and Sara Burns, talking about Sara and the kind of life she lived. Sara was 40 years old when she decided to join the police force in Fredericton. So arriving at that kind of a job late in life, but embracing it with gusto. She loved her work, we are told. Let's check back in with Kayla Hansel now along the parade route. Kayla, where are you?
Well, Harry, we have just seen the end of the parade here. Really, the procession has now moved on from us and people have started to scatter. I just want to tell you something I just learned, though. A lot of people probably don't know this, but the marked vehicle, one of the marked vehicles that was near the front of the parade, we've learned is actually the vehicle that Constables Rob Costello and Sara Burns were driving that day last Friday morning. So a lot of people along the parade route probably wouldn't know that, but very poignant, of course, for the law enforcement personnel who do. As I say, people are scattering here now, but we have a guest with us. We're joined by Reverend Bob McDowell, who's a retiring reverend now, and I'm so happy to have you with us because you know a little bit about helping people through something like this magnitude of this tragedy. Tell me about what happened.
Well, I've made a career out of working with complicated grief, line of duty death. I've worked with all emergency services. I've worked as a police chaplain and a fire chaplain, and I was a firefighter myself for 9 years. But it began for me in November 1984 when Vern Miller, an OPP constable, Ontario Provincial Police, was murdered on duty in Matheson, Ontario. He was killed in Iroquois Falls, a neighboring village. But I got the knock at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was fresh out of seminary, and nothing in seminary ever prepared me for going to the police station that morning and dealing with his partner who had been with him when he was murdered. And it was a murder. It was a cold-blooded murder. And so, yes, I know something from then of what that community went through, and also here today.
Of course, but what did you learn from that experience about how to help an entire community that is grieving like this? How can you help guide people through this?
Well, I learned subsequently. I took courses and training and began into what was called then critical illness and stress management, and then into community trauma management. But they all boil down to the same factors. One of them is you got families and communities in grief. But this sort of thing, what I wanted to say to you is that we all know about trauma and how it tears away at the psyche of an individual. Community trauma tears away as something of the social fabric. It undermines things. It pulls away the safety pins. You often hear people say things like, well, I never thought this could happen in my community. That's sort of the standard thing.
That's certainly what people here thought.
Yeah, exactly. And what they're really saying here is that something of my community has been profoundly damaged. And people really don't have language to deal with that. That's why you see them coming out here. You notice the silence. It was deafening here before the parade began. For about 20 minutes, it was just silent. You hear occasional chuckle. You'd hear people whispering. By and large, people were very introspective, and that's what brought them here today. Is that people are trying to make sense out of this for themselves. Like many of them have their own stories, of course, so they're reliving that. Every police officer and firefighter you just saw is marching with someone else, if not many others, in memory. And they're from all over North America, which is the coming together of the police community, which is a profound thing, which is different here than other parts of the world. They don't gather the same way as I understand it. I may be wrong in that. But this unique coming together of the police family, and the police is a family. It's you become a police officer, you don't have a lot of friends anymore of what you used to have, and you now belong to a different community, and they are a community. And part of what I learned over the years was working within the context of those communities of how to make sense out of the experience and stuff for people. But the lessons are really just the lessons of grief, How do we adapt to this? And line of duty death is not something that you get over. It's something for these people, that for their careers at least, they accommodate. They carry with them. And they have to make sense out of it to carry it with them and able to do the job.
A display like we've seen here certainly helps the community at least begin to move forward. Thank you for being here. It's great to hear your perspective, having been through similar circumstances many years ago.
Okay, you're welcome.
Harry?
All right, Kayla, thanks very much. Kayla Hounsell following the parade as it makes its way to the Aitken Centre in Fredericton here. I want to bring in Roger Brown just very quickly. Roger, we heard that discussion about how the grief doesn't end today. There's a lot more to come and rough waters to try to find a way through.
This is something that you need to learn to live with, and these are life-changing events. These are changing events for a police organization, and I think that highlights the need for aftercare. I think it highlights the need to look after the families, and I've heard the term, I use the term of the first responders to the first responders. The family members that are there when first responders go home, and who looks after them, and they carry a tremendous load as well, and it's important, I think, to zero in on that as we move forward.
Because there's another impact that will come 2 weeks or 3 weeks or maybe 6 months down the road as that loss is really pronounced and has an impact further on.
Well, you think about Monday morning when the Fredericton police officers go back to work. those that were working that day, what goes through their mind and the next call and so on and so forth. And again, I think it highlights the importance of being able to talk about it openly, to say that they need help, and to go professionally to get help when they need it and to deal with that grief that they'll live with for a lifetime.
All right, Roger, thanks very much for that. We'll come back. The funeral procession continuing along, coming to Montgomery Street now, and should soon be arriving at the Aitken Centre here in Fredericton. Julia Wright is out with a guest as well. And Julia, who do you have there?
Well, that's right, Harry. We're here today with Andre, Beth, Corey, Lucas, and Reed, who have, like many people along the procession route today, a personal connection to this week's events in Fredericton. Now, I just wanted to ask you, Beth, why was it important for you to come out today?
I think it was just to support all of our first responders and our police officers, just to let them know that, you know, ourselves here in Fredericton and the rest of Canada just appreciate everything that they do for us, and that we know the sacrifices that they do, and to support their two fallen members, and just to say thank you.
And you have a personal connection to all this as well.
Yeah, we do. My brother is one of the pallbearers for one of the officers. My dad's retired RCMP. So yeah, it kind of hits home a little bit.
And tell me about the connection between your brother and Constable Costello.
When my brother was auxiliary for the city before he went to the academy, Constable Costello was one of his training officers that Rob was able to drive with and learn a lot of stuff, you know, of how to be a really good police officer. And he learned that from him for sure.
And why was it important to bring the boys out with you today?
I think it's a Canadian thing. I think you have to pass it on to the next generation. You have to let this generation know that we come together in time of need, and we show our support to everybody, and let everybody, you know, let them know that that this is the right thing to do. This is where you should be.
And Corey, I wanted to go to you for a moment, because you mentioned that this has hit home, close to home for you as well, quite literally.
Yeah. I live just up the street from it, up on the top of the hill. And yeah, it was terrifying.
When you say you lived up the street from it, you mean on Brookside Drive, where all this occurred last week?
Yeah.
What has this week been like for you leading up to this procession?
We've all definitely been like on edge this week. I think it's just not something you see or hear of in this kind of place. You know, like it's terrifying. I don't know.
How do you feel after such a stressful week, coming here and seeing the public response in this procession?
It's beautiful. As soon as it started, like there was a lot of tears, and like I started welling up. Like it's I don't know. Like you said, it just hits home literally. It's crazy.
How can Fredericton, Beth, start to heal after something like this?
I think we know that by the response that they see from nationwide that we're safe, that things like this happen no matter where you are in Canada. It's an unfortunate thing, but it does happen. But you just know that somehow we just pull everything together and you keep on going.
Thank you very much to all of you for speaking with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, as you can see, Harry, a lot of people here have started to disperse and make their way to the Aitken Centre, but a lot of people are continuing to spend time together and reflect on what's occurred as they make their way to pay their respects.
A very moving moment, Julia, as that parade passes by. Thank you for that. Julia Wright, following the events as this procession makes its way onto the grounds of UNB. And in fact, Roger Brown, we're just seeing the head of the ceremonial procession enter the university grounds. There's a flag, a Canadian flag, flying from the end of a ladder truck from the Fredericton Fire Department, and the procession is entering the grounds underneath that flag. How important is that, and what does it represent?
Well, you know, seeing a flag of that size when you're marching underneath it will, I guarantee you, it'll send a shiver up your spine, because really that's who we are. We serve a country, and all first responders do that. And in this procession, as you will see, the caskets will be draped with a Canadian flag, and that'll be given to the family after, which is also very symbolic. And when I see that, you know, my mind goes right back to Marathorpe in the 90s.
Because you were in Marathorpe as well.
I was, when the 4 members got killed back then. And at that time, what was significant was there was right in the middle of Edmonton, there was a huge building being constructed, and there was a construction crane in the middle of this building, and somebody had erected this massive Canadian flag. And it really hit home, because it told everybody there that we are unified. We're one country, we're one group, first responder family and citizens, all together for one cause. And when I drove in here this morning and drove underneath that flag, that's the first thing that came to mind, is that how we're all unified and moving forward.
It's highly symbolic, and you know, a key consideration as these men and women in uniform and the people who, other first responders who support them, arrive at this arena for, you know, what will be a moment of grief, but a moment of hope as well, as they take from this the certain knowledge that they're not alone.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, and incidents like this all help us to refocus, and help us to focus on what we need to do to move forward. And we learn. We learn from this, not just first responders, but the public in general. And we all realize that a city like Fredericton is as vulnerable as anywhere else, but that we can get through this together. And that's what we're seeing here today and what we're listening to as we move forward.
The position you were in, even more difficult as a commanding officer in New Brunswick of the RCMP in 2014. You lost 3 members. And the difficulty is you've got to manage, you've got to continue to manage an investigation and the police services, but still find the time to understand what your people are going through. How do you juggle that?
Well, you know, what you do is you rely on others who have expertise to do what their role is. Yeah. And the investigative side was handled by that particular group. And at a time like that, you need to realize that you can't do it alone, and you have to trust others who have the skill set and the abilities to do what they do best, and allow them to do it. The other part is, you know, even though as a commanding officer or as Chief Fitch is in a what's assumed as a leadership role, some of the best leadership examples that I saw during the event and during my career in policing came from the front lines. It came from the communities that were right there at the right time to say the right thing or make the right decision to help us all move forward together, and that's important.
I know you know Chief Leanne Fitch, and I know you've spoken to her in the last 24 to 48 hours as she prepared for this event today. We'll talk more about that. Right now, just looking over our shoulders, we can see the Outriders have arrived, and behind them, the masked bands marching silently now as they approach the Aitken Arena, and behind them, the hearses carrying the bodies of Rob Costello and Sara Burns. Now, as they approach the Aitken Arena, they'll split. The hearses will go around to the back of the arena. The families have already arrived, and they will enter the arena separately. Some of the members of this parade will go in the front door. The Aitken Arena holds just over 4,000 people, and there is overflow room available. The Fredericton Police Force and family and friends of the 2 officers will occupy space down on the floor. And the visiting delegations of police force and first responders will ring the arena in the bleachers. There's Grimsby, the horse that was owned by Sara Burns, with boots in the stirrups backwards, the sign of a lost rider. Now, people who had masked for the There's that flag that Roger Brown was talking about. The spectators who had lined the parade route, some will go home, but many more will go to the Grand Harvey Arena, a few kilometers from where we are right now, where there will be an opportunity to view the service inside the Aitken Centre. Because of the number of visiting officers and first responders and family and friends, there wasn't space for the public inside the arena, so this is a select event. I have to mention again, too, that this parade has not been limited to visiting police forces from across the country, but also paramedics, firefighters, 911 operators, all of those people who support police as first responders and are considered first responders themselves have certainly filled out the numbers of this parade route. Now the two hearses side by side now. Kayla Hounsell standing by again. Kayla, you have some friends of Sara Burns.
Harry, one of the things that has been so amazing about the display that we've seen today is that there are so many people who don't know Constables Rob Costello and Sara Burns. They have no connection to this, but they feel so compelled to come and pay their respects. But we are here now with Darren and Susan Mayo, and they're a little more closely connected to this. You know Sara Burns and her family. Tell me about how you know the family.
We know them through hockey.
Yeah, and we met the Burns family through hockey, and my young fellow became great friends, and I started playing hockey with Steve myself, and we always kept touching with each other. My child went to school with some of his children, and just a great person in our community. Steve has given back so much to our community. He's getting great support from the community.
Steve is Sara's husband, and you've talked to me about their involvement in the community and how they give back so much as a family. Tell us more about that and them.
And Sara is such a sweet person, and as you know, she served the community well, and Stephen and the whole family is also so involved with the community. She will be truly missed. She's just such a sweet soul, and I just remember her smiling face.
It's a hard day for you as well.
It is.
Yeah.
Very hard.
Yeah, it's a position where you're trying to support the family, but you're also grieving yourself.
Yes, but we'll all be there to support them along the way, and the community will be behind them.
I know that you have been in touch with the family since this terrible tragedy last week, and I don't want to ask you how they're doing because I know they're dealing with this unimaginable grief, but do you know, are they feeling the support of this community and seeing this beautiful demonstration of people wanting to be there with them?
Absolutely. There's been great support since Friday this all happened. You know, there's all kinds of support home, support in the workplace here. You know, the children, all the friends that know Sara will certainly support her children. She'll leave a great legacy behind. You know, we'll just embrace each other, and we'll all get through it. So, yep.
Thank you very much. It's great to have you here to tell us a little bit more about Sara and her family, and take care.
Thank you.
Harry, we'll send things back to you.
All right, Kayla, thanks very much for that. Kayla Hounsell along the parade route, and you can see the interior of the Aitken Centre now. A lot of friends and family have already gathered there, and now we have the Fredericton Police Force members filing in. Of course, they worked with and knew both Rob and Sara, and they're just entering the back of the arena now, and the two hearses with the coffins waiting to enter. Kayla talked about the show of support for the Burns family and Rob Costello's family. I witnessed that myself. There was a visitation on Thursday night at the Fredericton Convention Center, and I went down, and that day started with about 200 people outside the convention center waiting to go in to meet the families who very patiently stood there to shake hands and feel the embrace of Frederictonians and visitors who had come to share in the grief and give their condolences. It was quite a stirring sight to see. Jackie McLean was there, Rob Costello's spouse, and Stephen Burns was there with Sara Burns' parents and other family members, and the strength they showed at that event to share with Frederictonians, and the embrace of the people of Fredericton for these two families was really something to see. Very, very inspiring. So the bands continue to play as we see other police forces from across the country and from into the States. We've seen members of the Border Service in the States, Massachusetts Police. Let's go over to Julia Wright now. She is standing by, and Julie, you've got some special guests there. Tell us about them.
I do. I mean, Harry, we've been meeting along this parade route Canadians from all walks of life, from all backgrounds, who are united by a single purpose, which is that it's important to come out and show their support for those who serve and protect Fredericton. Now, among them today is the Al Khalif family, and I'd like to ask you, why was it important for you to come today?
I come here. It happened for police, and the police he try save of any pupil, and I want to say any pupil save police too.
Yes, it's important for them to serve and protect. And I'd like to ask you, how did you feel when you saw the procession go by?
I feel bad because they're always trying to save us, and today we're walking with their funeral, and I feel so bad because everything happened on Friday. That was horrible to see people like trying to save us, and now we're hurting them, and like they wake all night, 24 hours trying to save us. Even we sleeping, they're still awake to save us, but we don't have that support to save them. We hurt them.
Rahad, how long have you been in Canada?
I've been 2 years and a half.
2 years and a half in Canada. Yeah. And how did you feel today when you saw the procession go by?
I feel bad, and I can't like talk what I feel like from the inside, because like when I came to Canada, they stand in front of me and they told me, welcome to our country, and now I feel like we're hurting them. We're not supposed to be doing that at all.
And do you feel that it's important to show your support for that reason?
Yes.
No. Well, this family is among many young families who have come to show the children that they have why it's important and how we come together as a community in a tragic situation like this, Harry. So thank you very much to all of you for speaking with us today. Yes, we appreciate it.
Good to hear, Julia. Thank you for that. Julia Wright reporting there. So most of the uniformed officers have entered the Aitken Centre right now to prepare for this funeral service. There are dozens of people still outside that have followed this parade, and will just wait patiently outside until it's over. The coffins waiting at the back of the church now. Roger Brown, I know you've been through this before. How important is it for these other groups of first responders to take part in this?
Well, it's a license to grieve as well, and every first responder knows in the back of their mind, they know in their heart that they could be placed in a similar situation and would have to respond. And if you look on their faces, each and every one of them are putting themselves in that position as they go through this and living through the ceremony, helps in that way, but it also makes you realize that the profession or your calling, that you're doing it for the right reasons, and you continue to do it.
It's difficult to look at this, the interior of the Aitken Centre, and there's almost once in a while a moment of confusion in my mind as I think back to Moncton and mix the two. It's so similar. And for both of these events to have happened in New Brunswick, in cities that are, an hour and a half apart, it just seems remarkable.
It is, but when you think back to these type of events that have taken place across Canada, you look at Marathon,
right.
You look at the incident in Saskatchewan, you look at the incidents in the Northwest Territories. It just makes us realize that there's not one particular city anywhere that is immune to these kinds of incidents, and it makes us realize the importance of the leadership roles to ensure that all first responders have not only the right training, but have the ability to take care of themselves during an incident like this, and that the membership, their families, are all looked after, not only during the event. During the event, you look around today, there's a ton of support here. But as you and I talked about earlier, like, what happens tomorrow?
Yeah.
What happens next week when everybody else, their lives begin to get busy again and things start to fall into their norm? What happens to those who have been deeply affected, and how do you deal with that? And that's the critical part of trying to deal with this. But to your point earlier, the very fact that you see so many members take part in this, first responders is a big family. We are all connected in one way or another as a literal family or a family of first responders. And both these police officers went to Atlantic Police Academy, so they have classmates, they have people that they all work together, and it's important for them to be able to work through this ceremony in a way that helps them heal and helps them be able to go back to their work and back to their profession as a whole person, if you will.
We talked briefly earlier about Chief Leanne Fitch, the chief of the Fredericton Police Force. How much training or how much preparation do you get in a situation like this when you're the head of the force, when you're the senior manager, or even in your case? Is there any way to be prepared for something like this?
Actually, you know what? There is no blueprint for this. It's, as I've said earlier, it's your worst nightmare. But in a case like this, you do everything you can to prepare, and we'll go back to the service, but we can talk about that, but it's not something you can't prepare for.
Let's listen in now to this. Constable Debbie Stafford is the Master of Ceremonies for this funeral service. I'm Harry Forrestal in Fredericton, New Brunswick, where we are watching the regimental funeral service for 2 slain peace officers of the Fredericton Police Force. Constable Sara Burns and Constable Rob Costello. We're just waiting for the service to begin. The Bishop of St. John on the podium right now as we anticipate the arrival of the coffins containing the bodies of Burns and Costello. People sitting on the floor, members of the Fredericton Police Force, family members, friends, and dignitaries. And the seats surrounding them filled with police forces and first responders from across the continent.
Freeze. Head rest.
Sara May Burns, a constable with the Fredericton Police Force. She was born in St. Andrews, Scotland. A 43-year-old mother of 3 boys. Her family described her as a stay-at-home mom who fulfilled a long-held dream of becoming a police officer, which she did at the age of 40. She was a graduate of Fredericton High School. Joined the Fredericton Police Force in 2016. She was described by her husband Steve and by friends that we spoke with as intensely private. Sara May Burns shunned the spotlight, but when she put that uniform on, they say she changed. Was outgoing, kind, remarkable woman. Her sons, Duncan, Malcolm, and Anderson. Constable Arbo, holding the hat of Sara May Burns. Her husband, Steve, a local Fredericton businessman, well known in the community. He'd just finished a fundraiser a few weeks ago. He walked with a friend from Edmundston to Fredericton, raised $132,000 for Liberty Lane, a group providing support for women escaping family violence.
Inward. Turn. There, party. Rest. Outward. Rest. 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 Rest.
Constable Rob Costello, a well-known character in Fredericton. A 45-year-old father of 2 and stepfather to 2 others. Costello was born in St. John, grew up in Sussex. He'd been with the Fredericton Police Force for 20 years as a beat officer, as a detective. He even spent some time seconded to the RCMP's Child Exploitation Unit. Rob Costello described himself as a CFL, Constable for Life. His friends talk about his cheerful, positive attitude, how infectious it was, and about his compassion.
Press. 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 Quick. Press. Oh. Repair party. Repair to raise. Raise. Repair, inward, hand. Hand.
$1,500 uniformed officers and first responders taking part in today's ceremonial procession. Now, the coffins bearing the bodies of Rob Costello and Sara Burns, preparing to enter the Aiken Center. Inside, family and friends, but dignitaries as well. Her Honor Jocelyn Roy Vigneault, the Lieutenant Governor of New Brunswick, is there. Representing the federal government, Dominic LeBlanc, the Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs. And of course, the Premier of the province, Brian Gallant. The Mayor of Fredericton, Mike O'Brien.
Please stand for the arrival of our fallen members and their families. Veuillez maintenant vous lever pour l'entrée du cortège et de la famille.
Very quiet scene in the Aiken Center now as the coffins are brought in by the pallbearers. The hat, the medal worn by Rob Costello. We're just going to listen in here for a few minutes. pallbearers now very carefully putting the coffins to rest. You'll notice the yellow flowers to the right there. Yellow was Sara May Burns' favorite color. The caps and belts of each officer will also be brought in to the funeral service. The cap to be placed at the head of the casket, the service belt in the middle. The officer carrying the cap of Sara Burns was involved in the event on Friday. Was credited with wounding the shooter. Jackie Steves, the widow of Rob Costello, tweeting just in the past hour, watching the parade, tweeting, "I'm so moved by the number of people out on the streets to view the procession." Hundreds of people lining the parade route as these coffins on their final journey to the Aiken Center. And this, the coffin of Rob Costello. Costello's coffin will also be draped with his Police Exemplary Service Medal marking 20 years of service. Once the coffins are in place and the service begins, the national anthem will be sung by Misha Brugger-Gossman, well-known figure in this community where she grew up. She is a soprano. She has performed internationally. She's won awards. She is a well-known and well-loved performer in this city. pallbearers now placing Constable Rob Costello's coffin on the framework. His colleagues who worked with him the 20 years that he was a member of the force. A difficult and emotional day for them. This is a small city, Fredericton, about 60,000 people. You can imagine the impact an event like this has had on the community. I mean, this is a university and a government town. It straddles the St. John River. It's an intimate place. Really a city with the heart of a town. The outpouring of support for the police force here has been truly monumental. Jackie McLean placing a rose on her husband's coffin. Rob Costello's stepchildren there, Katie and Zach, and his two daughters. The service about to begin here. We'll begin with Pastor Steve Patterson. And Holly Sherrard, a good friend of Sara Burns and her husband.
Please be seated.
Stephen.
Veuillez maintenant vous asseoir.
Listen in now and follow this service for the next few minutes.
We are here today to mourn the terrible loss of Constable Sara May Helen Burns and Constable Lawrence Rob Costello, who died in the line of duty while serving and protecting the citizens of Fredericton. Their ultimate sacrifice will never be forgotten. May today be a celebration of their lives and a way to honor them for making the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you for joining us today. Your many prayers, acts of kindness, and gifts of gratitude have touched us. And the support you have shown us in the challenging days has given us all strength. We thank you. Our families thank you, and the Burns and Costello families thank you. Nous sommes rassemblés aujourd'hui pour déplorer la perte terrible de deux agents de police, Constable Sara May Helen Burns et Constable Lawrence Rob Costello, tombés en service alors qu'ils auraient la protection des citoyens de Fredericton. Leur sacrifice ultime ne sera jamais oublié. Nous sommes réunis aujourd'hui pour célébrer leur vie, leur rendre hommage et souligner leur dernier sacrifice. Votre présence est très appréciée. Vos prières, vos gestes de bonté et de générosité nous ont touchés au plus haut point. Jamais nous n'oublierons l'appui que vous avez donné en ces moments difficiles. Tous ces gestes nous ont procuré force et courage. On vous remercie, nos familles vous remercient, les familles Burns et Costello vous remercient. To begin the official ceremony, I would like to invite Misha Bruger-Gosman to the platform to sing our national anthem. Pour débuter la cérémonie, j'invite maintenant Misha Bruger-Gosman pour l'interprétation de notre hymne national. Please rise. Veuillez vous lever.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command, car ton bras s'est porté les pays, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Please be seated, and you may remove your headdress. Veuillez vous asseoir et vous pouvez enlever vos chapeaux. A smudging ceremony will now be performed by Elder Imelda Purley of the St. Mary's First Nation. We are honored to have Miss Purley with us today, who will smudge the caskets to honor the transition from Earth Walk to Spirit Walk. Nous sommes heureux d'avoir parmi nous Elder Imelda Purley de la Première Nation de St. Mary's, qui va diriger une cérémonie de purification.
Imelda Purley is a Maliseet elder. She's the elder in residence at the University of New Brunswick, and as you can see, she's wearing traditional Maliseet costume. A fluent Maliseet speaker, in fact, and cultural advisor. well known in the community. This smudging ceremony using sweetgrass to guide the spirit. And to cleanse before the ceremony. There are several First Nations police forces in attendance today from Alberta and the western provinces and from here in New Brunswick.
I would like to invite Fredericton Police Force Chaplain, Reverend Werner Drost, to the podium to provide us with the opening prayer. J'invite maintenant l'aumônier de la Force policière de Fredericton, le Révérend Werner Drost, à prononcer la prière d'ouverture.
Let us pray. Almighty God, righteousness and justice are the foundation of your throne. The rain in our city today represents the tears of sadness and grief that flow from our hearts, brought about by the terrible and senseless loss of these two heroes we dearly love. I pray that your Holy Spirit would flow through this gathering, touching each of our hearts with your grace and with your comfort. Éternel, réconforte et guéris nos cœurs brisés. Élève-nous dans tes bras célestes. Help us, O God, to never surrender to violence and injustice. May we never let hate be our master. May we never let fear control our actions. Puissions-nous jamais rembourser les mêles pour les mêles. Puissions-nous avoir le courage de se tenir debout pour la justice. May we all be willing to give our lives for the freedoms and rights of all Canadians, just like Sara Burns and Rob Costello sacrificed their lives. Que notre valeur de foi trompée protège nos foyers et nos droits. God, keep our land glorious and free, with total respect to all our cultures, nationalities, and beliefs that make up this beautiful, great home we call Canada. I humbly submit my prayer in the name of Jesus Christ, my Lord. Que Dieu nous bénisse tous. Amen.
Constable Sara Burns and Constable Rob Costello were cherished by their loved ones. their friends, and their police family. We hope that after today, you will understand why. We will now move into the funeral services for Constable Sara Burns. I invite Stephen Burns, accompanied by Brian Jones and Richard McGuigan, to share a few words in honor of his beloved wife, Constable Sara Burns.
Greetings, honored guests. I am the husband of the most beautiful and caring woman I have ever met. Sara May Helen Burns was born in St. Andrews, Fife, Scotland, a Fifer, and proud beyond belief of her heritage. She lived in Papua New Guinea for a short time, but then moved to Fredericton at the age of 7. She was a handful to her mom and dad, like any other teenager. In her young adult years, Sara worked at a local craft brewery where we met and later fell in love. She wanted a family so badly, and for the next 19 years, she was the best wife, mother, business partner, chauffeur, nurse, and hockey mom a family could ever ask for. At the age of 35, while running our entire family and doing 20 hours a week minimum on the auxiliary for the Fredericton Police Force, she was determined to go back to school and get her degree in criminology. After graduating, she applied to attend the Atlantic Police Academy. When I think back now, I remember her biggest fear was having to leave her boys behind for about 6 months while she attended the academy in PEI. She was a phenomenal student, the course leader, and she graduated in 2015. Only one more hill to climb, she would say. In March of 2016, she reached her ultimate goal when she was sworn in as a City of Fredericton police officer, Regiment number 401. I've said it 1,000 times this week, but she was proud beyond her words to be a City of Fredericton police officer. She absolutely loved her job, and I can remember all too often driving in the car with her, all by just the two of us, and in mid-sentence she would just belt out, "I love my job." Members, I would like to share some of Sara's words with you and the extended support team that is here today from all over. I want you to know how much you all meant to her. I have heard the word guilt this week far, far too much, and I want each and every one of you to know that she is at peace and knows that you did everything you could to protect her. Don't burden yourself with the why, because you won't find the answer. When it's your time, it is your time. And never, never lay blame. We need to celebrate her life and focus on how we will help each other move forward. She knows that if given the chance, you would all trade places with her because that's who you are and that's the oath you took. A very good friend of mine shared a passage from the Bible with me, and I think it says it all. It reads, "Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends." A while back, one of Sara's good friends was having a hard time, and she posted a message to her on Facebook. That message popped up in her memories yesterday. Sara would want her friends at the Fredericton Police Force to hear that and hear that message. It goes like this: "If you're alone, I'll be your shadow. If you want to cry, I will be your shoulder. If you want a hug, I'll be your pillow. If you need to be happy, I will be your smile. But anytime you need a friend, I'll just be me. This week has been tough and tragic for everyone, but the support has been overwhelming to say the least. From the memorial at the police station to the total strangers at the airport offering free transportation. Words cannot express our family's gratitude. I always knew how well Sara was respected, and hearing this week the countless stories of how diligent and conscientious she was have been so comforting. Sara lived by these honest and simple rules. Do it right or don't do it at all. Always follow the rules. Others always come first. Humility is strength. Always be private. Never be showy, and always be graceful. Let your smile be your guide, and use kind words and soft hands. Sara would insist that I mention her fallen brother and hero, Rob Costello, who stood bravely with her to protect our community on that day. To the civilians, Bobby Lee Wright and Donald Adam Robichaud, she would not want them to be forgotten because their family and friends are grieving no less, and their lives are just as important. Sara has always been my hero and my angel, but now she is a hero and an angel for a community, a province, and a nation. Sara had the most amazing smile that would light up a room. Sara was the most private person I have or ever will meet. Sara lived life to the fullest. She loved to travel, she loved her technology, and she loved shopping online. In fact, she knew the delivery man on a first-name basis. She was born to take care of people. I used to joke with her when one of the kids would be sick and home from school, and in my eyes, they were healthy as horses. I would say, I think they loved getting sick. And who would want to go back to school when you're being treated like a king by your mom? Her favorite color was yellow. She loved photography. She loved dragonflies, her puppies Coco and Murphy, and her horse Grimsby. Mudgee and Bampa, you guided her through her entire life, and always remember, she will always be your little girl. You were her conscience and her truth. Rory and Emma, you were both her diamonds in the rough. She will continue to polish you every chance she gets. Words cannot express how in love I was with her. She truly was my best friend, and I was her best friend. A good friend said to me the other day that she had me hook, line, and sinker from day one. No other woman ever turned my head like she did. I know I told you every day how beautiful you are and how much I loved you, to the point where you would look at me and say, "You're crazy, Stephen Burns." That will never change. Sara loved many things, but most of all, she loved her family, and especially being a mother. Duncan, Malcolm, and Anderson, you need to know that your mom loved each of you unconditionally, and she will watch over you forever. You need to know she was a hero, and she will be remembered forever by us, our friends, this community, and this great country. Boys, your papa found this online, and I think it says it all, and I would like to close by reading this to you. Your mother is always with you. She's the whisper of the leaves as you walk down the street. She's the smell of certain foods you remember, flowers you pick, the fragrance of life itself. She's the cool hand on your brow when you're not feeling well. She's your breath in the air on a cold winter's day. She's the sound of the rain that lulls you to sleep, the colors of a rainbow. She's a Christmas morning. Your mother lives inside your laughter. She's the place you came from. Your first home. And she's the map you follow with every step you take. She's your first love, your first friend, even your first enemy. But nothing on earth can separate you, not time, not space, not even death. Thank you.
I would now like to invite Pastor Steve Patterson, who will present a devotional.
Thank you, Stephen. Duncan, Malcolm, and Anderson. I've been close to you guys for several years, and being in your home, I know I've already told you guys, but I just want to share this. Being in your home this week has been comforting to me, to see how you've supported each other and loved each other and propping each other up. And it's been inspirational. And that goes for the entire family. And not to mention the close-knit circle of friends who have been there. These two men who were standing behind Steve have been just like that all week long. And it's been a nice thing to watch. I thank you for having me here to speak and to do my best to try to put in words, but there are no words. That's a phrase I've heard a whole lot this week too. But I want you to know it's a privilege for me to be here and to be considered a friend of your family. On behalf of everyone here and everybody watching, I want to express our heartfelt sympathy and condolences to you and your entire family. Obviously, things will be different now. And though you won't be moving on, you will be living on. And I've already witnessed some of that. I was at a baseball game earlier this week where Anderson struck 7 batters out of 9. He struck them out. Hopefully Sara wouldn't mind me sharing that up here. But it was nice to watch because they're surrounded by community. It's not just family and friends, but it's an entire community. And all the baseball players had the black armbands. And that took a lot of strength to just show up. So that's the stuff of champions, and that's character right there. I'd also like to echo the deep sorrow we feel for all the families who've lost their loved ones, including Rob's family, Donnie Robichaud, and Bobby Lee Wright. I don't think we can mention their names enough. Every life lost here is precious and valuable. And it's necessary as a community that we mourn for all. Matthew, the book of Matthew, verse 4 reads, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." And this week, another thing I've realized is that I share something in common with Sara. I realize that we both took a career shift later, in our later years. For her, it was about age 40, and for me, it was age 50. I've avoided what I was supposed to be doing for several years. I avoided my call to ministry. But Sara was just basically patiently waiting for the right time and in a good place when she knew that her family was in a good spot for her to pursue her dream to become a police officer. And some of the things I've heard this week, I know that when she was at work, she put others first. And when she was at home, she always put the boys first. The verse that Steve mentioned is from the Gospel of John, the 4th book of the New Testament. And this is the book that really grabbed my attention a few years ago. And it's where I gained some understanding that Jesus was much less concerned about religion and most concerned with love and compassion for people. And that was refreshing for me to learn. Pardon me. In this past week, emerging from the sadness have been stories of how Sara had great compassion and concern for people, especially for those who struggle to make ends meet, for those who struggle with mental illness, for those who endure abuse, and for those who have addiction issues. I wish we could have some stories shared right here, right now. But unfortunately, for the sake of time and respect for this day of honoring both officers, we can't just open up the floor. But I'm sure if we could, I think I would see many hands raised out there. I would encourage anyone, if you haven't already shared your stories that you know with the Burns family, I would really encourage you to do that, because I know that they would want to hear them. And share them with one another, because we want to keep her memory alive. We want to honor her life. One story that I will share that I believe truly exemplifies Sara's spirit. My wife Cindy is an emergency room nurse here in Fredericton. And so she often helps receive and care for people who are brought in by the police. And one evening, Sara was caring for a young lady who was having some serious mental health issues. And protocol calls for an officer to remain with that person until they've been seen and examined by a doctor. So as Steve mentioned, Sara is one to stick with the rules. And so, of course, she stayed with her person. After the patient had been seen, my wife Cindy just mentioned to Sara, she said, the patient's been seen and is in our care now. It's okay to go. And Sara's response was, no, I can't go. At this time, Sara was almost new as being an officer, and so I think my wife kind of maybe thought, well, maybe she doesn't know that she can leave. So she reassured her again. She said, no, really, it's okay. You can go. But the response came back the same. No, I can't go, because I promised I wouldn't leave her. So Steve, I hate to break it to you, but Sara she broke a rule or two now and then, but only in the circumstance when it was the right thing to do. And when I worked with you, I heard you say that all the time. Just do the right thing. So boys, you can be so very proud of your mom, that when she was out working as an officer, that she treated people with respect and compassion, especially to those who really needed it. I'm grateful for this city and for the country we live in and for the freedom of choices that we have. And those freedoms are protected by our legal system. But you officers who are out there on patrol are the front lines of maintaining peace and order in our society. There's opportunity in this country to choose where you want to go to school, where we work, where we play, where we live. Also opportunity to choose where we worship, how we worship, and who we worship. I believe God is here in our midst and is ever present in our grief, our pain, our sorrows, and in our suffering. I've come to believe the God who I serve has intimate knowledge and personal experience in all of these things. I believe in a God who nearly 2,000 years ago answered the call, and with knowledge of knowing what was coming, walked obediently into his death, even death on a cross. There's no other in world history who claimed the sort of things that Christ claimed of himself. And he came to fulfill the prophecies that were written about him centuries before he was even born. He said several times, publicly and privately with his disciples, that he had to die, but that he would rise again. And therein lies the hope that we have in the resurrection of Christ. Because he fulfilled that prophecy, he is able and he is worthy to give us peace by offering complete forgiveness and everlasting life. I don't think we could find many people this week who would disagree that there's a lot of darkness in our world. But Jesus is a light in the darkness, and darkness cannot overcome him. The reason that he came was to be a sacrifice for our benefit. And sacrifice is what draws us together today. We are celebrating the lives that were sacrificed so that others could be saved. I believe that if Sara and Rob had not answered their call, that there would have been more deaths. I mean, the day was a beautiful day. It had just begun. People were just starting to get out for a walk, riding their bikes at that time in the morning, early in the morning. People, very busy road, driving to work. We'll never know how many lives were spared because they answered the call. But we lift Sara and Rob up because they truly are heroes. They truly are. And to the members of law enforcement who on a daily basis leave the security of your homes to go to work with the very real possibility of putting your lives in danger, you are also heroes, especially to us here in Fredericton. And so as we honor Sara and Rob, as a city, province, and country, we sincerely thank you for doing what you do. We also give thanks to the officers from different areas who came in our time of crisis here to relieve some of our force so that they could have time to grieve properly. And it's going to take a lot of time to get over what's happened. To me, that's a true illustration of love, a true illustration of grace. So thank you as well. The scripture verse that Steve has already mentioned can be found in John chapter 15. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. This is Jesus speaking to his disciples. Right before he said that, he commanded his disciples to love one another as I have loved you. By coming together here today and in this past week, you have truly shown your love for one another, and especially for your fallen heroes. I pray that God blesses and protects each and every one of you as you continue to serve and protect us. God bless you.
I would finally like to invite Holly Sherrard, Constable Sara Burns' best friend, who will read from Scripture.
I'll be reading two passages today, 2 Corinthians 1, 3 through 5, followed by John 14, 1 through 4. Praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God. For just as we share abundantly in the sufferings of Christ, so also comfort abounds through Christ. Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, please also in me. My Father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, would you have come with me if I told you that I'm going there to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am. You know the way to the place where I am going. Amen.
I now invite Pastor Steve Patterson, accompanied by his daughters Taylor and Lauren, to sing a song that he wrote in honor of Constable Sara Burns.
This song was specifically written for Sara, Steve, and the boys, but there's certainly a lot of space in this song for everybody to come alongside in their grief. So I invite you to do that.
It was a day we'll not forget. You took the call, serve and protect. And we're proud to say your smile still shines, shines. We've been told pain heals with time. But you know we'd rather have you. We'd rather have you. We celebrate your life. Thought that you'd come home, home. We miss your love. We're trying to be strong. But you know we'd rather have you. Don't want you to go. We'd rather have you. This is a day we'll not forget. Feel the warmth and prayers, love and respect. But you know we'd rather have you. You've got to know we'd rather have you. You've got to know we'd rather have you.
We will now hear a rendition of Amazing Grace. Nous allons maintenant entendre une interprétation de Grâce infinie. We will now move into the funeral services for Constable Rob Costello. I invite Greg Morris, family friend and grandfather to Constable Costello's daughters, to share a few words in honor of Constable Rob Costello.
Your Honor, Premier, Your Worship, bishops and clergy, Chief Fitch, members of late Constable Sara Burns and Rob Costello's families, distinguished guests, colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by offering sincere condolences to Rob's wonderful mother, Dolores, her special daughters, Cassie and Caitlin, his loving partner, Jackie, and her two children, Zach and Katie, and the extended families. We also extend our condolences to the family of Constable Sara Burns and the Robichaud and Wright families. A special mention to the Fredericton Police Department, along with all first responders and the many individuals who knew Rob and worked with him personally. Our hearts go out to all of you as we grieve our losses from this unspeakable tragedy. We stand here arm in arm with you to mourn their passing by taking the time to remember the best about these people we all knew and loved. I was asked by Dolores, Jackie, and the girls to share with you a few memories of Rob. I knew Rob as a friend for more than 20 years, and I remember him as a friend to this day. It is an honor to speak to those gathered here and beyond about the type of a person Rob was. Rob Costello was a kind, caring, and compassionate friend to those who knew him. He loved his mother fondly, he loved his girls Cassie and Caitlin, and he loved his partner Jackie. He built and enjoyed a great relationship with Jackie and her children Zach and Katie, who affectionately embraced Rob as their faux pas. Rob loved being a policeman. It was his lifelong passion. After graduating from Holland College, he achieved his dream of becoming a police officer and soon thereafter earned a position with the Fredericton Police Department, where he proudly served and protected his community until the tragic Friday morning. Away from work, Rob was a big fan of the famous University of Notre Dame Fighting Irish. On one occasion, we visited the Notre Dame campus in South Bend, Indiana together. I recount this to show the pride he had in being a member of the Fredericton Police Department. Not only did Rob contact the head of the stadium police and arrange the guided tour, he then led us around campus looking for the department offices. There, he proudly exchanged pins with the Notre Dame police. So you should know that the Fredericton Police Department is well represented at Rob's favorite Notre Dame University. Rob enjoyed basketball. He played at Sussex High School, UNB St. John, and NBCC. He dearly loved to play. I read where his coach in high school mentioned that Rob was not the most skilled player, nor the fastest, or even the most athletic, but he was the most selfless. There was nothing he was not willing to do for the team. These same traits were evident in all parts of Rob's life. One of Rob's fellow workers shared another story to show the good human being Rob Costello was. This particular officer was working Christmas Day, and Rob knew he had young children at home. So Rob went in and worked half a shift so that his friend could go home with his family. He didn't switch the shift or make an IOU. He just did it and refused anything in return. He was that kind of a guy. Rob shared a special relationship with his mother. They cared deeply for each other. Just recently, when Dolores underwent 2 surgeries, Rob spent 2 days in the hospital at his mother's bedside. Jackie treasured Rob's generosity and his love for her. He was her true soulmate. Cassie and Caitlin, your dad would be so proud of the remarkable women you are becoming today. He loved you both very much. As I complete this, I want to leave you with this thought. After a sudden, unexpected tragedy that takes our loved one from us, I implore you to embrace the moments of your life. Put down the phone. Listen more. Take that extra moment to give that hug. Look people in the eye. Smile often. Make every day important. And embrace the love of your friends and family. Rob Costello didn't become a hero because he died. He was a hero as he lived. He loved being a cop. We heard it so many times. It's all he ever wanted to be. Being a police officer was not what Rob did. It was who he was. And he died doing what he lived and what he loved. Constable Costello, we will never forget you. Your brothers in blue will never forget you. You have finished your shift. You are off duty. Take a deep breath. You are home now. Rest in peace, Rob. We love you. Thank you.
I would now like to invite the Bishop of St. John, Most Reverend Robert Harris, to present the homily, followed by the singing of Here I Am.
My name is Robert Harris, and I'm the Catholic Bishop of the Diocese of St. John. To all of you, in a very particular way, to the families of Sara Burns and Rob Costello, I offer my most sincere condolences on behalf of the Diocese of St. John and on my own behalf. We are here today to remember and to honor and to entrust to God our fallen loved ones. C'est un privilège pour moi d'être ici avec vous aujourd'hui. Sincères condoléances à vous tous et toutes. On Friday morning, August the 10th, tragedy struck here in Fredericton. We will never be the same. On Friday evening, at St. John the Evangelist Anglican Church, Bishop Edwards presided a vigil service, and as I left, I was invited by a journalist to share why I thought that vigil was important. And I remember saying to the journalist, it was important because we needed to remind ourselves that God is present in this event, that God was present in that event. I thank the family of Constable Rob Costello for asking me to participate in this regimental funeral, to honor their fallen son, husband, father, relative, friend, who died in the line of duty doing what he loved. Since then, I have been carrying him, as well as yourselves, in prayer. I want to mention in a particular way Jackie, his beloved spouse, Cassie and Caitlin, his daughters, Zach and Katie, his stepchildren, Dolores Francis, his loving mother, his aunts, his uncles, and his cousins. And I have been praying for the family of Constable Sara Burns, for her husband, her children, family, and friends. As well, I pray for, and I have been praying for, the civilian casualties. I pray for the Robichaud and Wright families as they grieve their loss. To you, the Fredericton Police, as well as all of you here, police officers and first responders, who every day put your lives on the line to serve all of us, I want you to know that I am most grateful to you for who you are and what you do. We are grateful to you. Dear family of Rob, and I know that it's written with 2 B's, right? Because if it weren't with 2 B's, it would just be a verb. His name is a noun. Dear family of Rob, allow me to speak about Rob. Unfortunately, I never knew him. I have never met him. But so much has been said about him this week in the media. So much good has been shared by his family, his friends, as well as the people he helped. I wish I had known him. His obituary described Rob as a man who loved his family, loved being a police officer, loved the people he served, loved being out on patrol. And once again, I make reference to his obituary. I was particularly struck by the affirmation made by his family. There is no doubt that on Friday morning, he responded eagerly and willingly to that last call, because that is who he was, that is how he did things. Now, I've heard that Rob was a man of faith, a man of service, and it seems that he was inspired by the call of the prophet Isaiah. I will read you a few lines from the prophet Isaiah. I saw the Lord Yahweh seated on a high throne. Above him stood seraphs. They cried out to one another in this way, Holy, holy, holy is Yahweh Sabaoth. His glory fills the whole earth. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send? Who shall be my messenger? And I answered, Here I am, send me. That text initially affirms to us that God speaks to people. He speaks to women and men. It also affirms that women and men respond to God. This text was meaningful to Rob. It described what he did. It seems like Rob was a man on a mission. His family ended his obituary by quoting the scripture, and I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send? Who will go forth for us? Then I said, Here I am, send me. It is clear that Rob had a relationship with God. He had a relationship with the Lord Jesus. And we might ask ourselves, when did that relationship begin? Well, I'd like to affirm that his relationship with the Lord began that first instant when God loved him into being. That first instant, before even his mom, Dolores, knew that she was pregnant. From that first instant that God loved Rob into being, the Lord had a relationship with him. And why did God love him into being? Well, in the mystery of God, God creates countless number of women and men with whom he wants to be in relationship and with whom he wants to share eternity. So yes, Jesus initiated a relationship with Rob from the first moment, and as he lived his life, he responded to that relationship. Now, I'd like to affirm that all of us here have something in common, and it's without exception. God has loved each one of us into being. Why? Because he wants a relationship with us now and forever, now and for eternity. And actually, Jesus longs for a relationship with us. It would be true to say that as human beings, we have a deep longing within each one of us, and we long for the divine. We mightn't put it that way, but there's an emptiness in every human person until they find that God has filled their emptiness. So I reaffirm, we experience emptiness and a longing but I'd like to affirm that Jesus thirsts for each one of us. He thirsts for a relationship with each one of us. And the reality is that in each one of us, there is the holy presence of God. When tragedy struck on Friday, maybe some people wondered, where was God? But as I think about it, I would have to affirm, in continuity with what I just said, that God was with Rob, and he was with Sara. Rob was not alone. Sara was not alone. The Lord was with them. The Lord who loved them into being, who shared their earthly life, that never missed a moment of their life, never skipped a beat. You can be sure that God was right there with both of them. What they said to each other, what God said to Rob, what Rob said to God, we'll never know. What God said to Sara, what Sara said to God, we'll never know. But I have absolutely no hesitation to affirm that God, Jesus, was right there, was right there. He was holding Rob. And when Rob breathed his last, he received him into his loving embrace. I affirm the same for Sara. The Lord was holding her, and when she breathed her last, the Lord received her into his loving embrace. It would be true to say that none of us here, and actually people from across our land, none of us have been left indifferent to what happened on August the 10th. And all of us, each in our own way, are grieving. But I'd like again to affirm that God is not indifferent to human suffering. Actually, God embraced our humanness. He embraced our woundedness. Jesus, the Son of God, became one of us. He suffered for us. I would add, he suffers with us. I would add, he cries with us. So we honor Rob's gift of self as he died in the line of duty. At the request of his family, I'd like you to join me in singing a hymn which kind of reflects for us that passage from the prophet Isaiah. It's the hymn, "Here I Am, Lord," and it's in our booklets, our participation booklets. And I ask you all to join me. Many of you know the hymn, so you start singing right from the beginning along with me. And as you learn the refrain, if you didn't know the hymn, you make sure you add your voice, because what these words kind of reflect to us is God concerned for us and we responding. What it kind of reflects for us is the heart of Rob, when he said, "Here I am, Lord, send me." And he went, and he went. So in honor of Rob and in honor of Sara, I ask you to join with me in singing this song. Now, you don't have to stand, just remain seated. I'll start you out, and please join, because this isn't meant to be a solo. I, the Lord of sea and sky, I have heard my people cry, all who dwell in dark and sin, my hand will save. I who made the stars of night, I will make their darkness bright. Who will bear my light to them? Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord. I, the Lord of snow and rain, I have borne my people's pain. I have sweat for love of them. They turn away. I will break their hearts of stone, give them hearts for love alone. I will speak my word to them. Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. I, the Lord of wind and flame, I will tend the poor and lame. I will set a feast for them. My hand will save. Finest bread I will provide, till their hearts be satisfied. I will give my life to them. Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. I'd like all of you to keep singing the refrain without me in the mic. Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. When Rob's grandmother died, his mother Dolores penned these words: "Don't be sorrowful or sad when I leave this earth, but rejoice and be glad, for I am with Jesus in death, as Jesus with me at birth." Don't be sorrowful or sad when I leave this earth, but rejoice and be glad, for I am with Jesus in death, as Jesus with me at birth. May the Lord fulfill their longing for eternal life. Donne-leur le repos éternel, Seigneur. Fais briller sur eux la lumière sans fin. Amen.
I would now invite Her Honor, Jocelyn Roy Vineau, Lieutenant Governor of New Brunswick, to pay tribute to Constable Sara Burns and Constable Rob Costello. J'invite maintenant Son Honneur Jocelyn Roy Vineau, Lieutenant-gouverneur du Nouveau-Brunswick, à prononcer quelques mots en mémoire de Constable Sara Burns et Constable Rob Costello.
Ambassador Kraft, Senators, Members of Parliament, Premier ministre Brian Gallant, membres de l'Assemblée législative, Chief Polches, representatives from neighboring provinces, judges, Your Worship Mayor O'Brien, councillors, members of the armed forces and police agencies, clergy, other special guests, distingués invités, Chief of Police Leanne Fitch, and all members with the Fredericton Police Force, colleagues, friends, chers amis. But I especially wish to acknowledge the families, children, and the partners of the late Sara Byrne and the late Rob Costello. Today is a memorial, a tribute, a time of great sadness. It is also a time to honor all peace officers and first responders, and to remember the 4 lives lost just a week ago. I join with all New Brunswickers, all Canadians, in offering our sympathies, our sorrow, and our support to the families of all 4 victims. Not just as your Lieutenant Governor, but as a proud New Brunswicker, a thankful citizen of Fredericton, and as a friend of the Fredericton Police Force. I have been lucky to know the police and civilian members of this department. Je ressens votre douleur. La semaine qui s'achève vous a démontré à quel point nous tous partageons votre deuil. Vous n'êtes pas seul. I'm here representing every person who feels despair and loss this week and who wants to offer you their sympathies. The men and women in police uniforms constantly demonstrate the highest levels of courage, resourcefulness, and initiative. A willingness to go above and beyond, often putting themselves in harm's way. I was fortunate to have met both Sara and Rob. Sara, when she first joined the force in 2016, and Rob at every medal ceremony, where he was there to support his friends and colleagues with a big smile. He would have received his 20-year service pin later this year. Like all of you in uniform, these two loved their work and they appreciated their community. They showed quick thinking, courage under fire, and a willingness to risk their lives. And they did so day in, day out, in exemplary fashion. They served, they protected, they helped others, they improved the lives, they made this community better. Today, we honor them, and while we all wish for a different outcome, I promise we will not forget the sacrifices made in the line of duty. The Bible tells us good men and women must die, but that cannot kill their names. Sara and Rob sont partis beaucoup trop tôt, mais soyez assurés que Sara Byrne and Rob Costello ne seront jamais oubliés. New Brunswick is a small province, but what we lack in size and profile, we make up for in spirit, in enthusiasm, and emotion. We will remember Sara and Rob today and every day. I promise. We will recall their service to duty, to this city and to its citizens, forever. Nous n'oublierons jamais la bravoure et le sens du devoir qu'ils ont démontré. We remember that each was a loving partner and parent. Each was a true friend and trusted colleague. We will remember Constables Lawrence Robert Costello and Sarah May Burns, today, tomorrow, and every day that a peace officer puts on that uniform to serve and protect in every community in this country. We will remember them every time we witness a first responder in action, every time we see a police vehicle or hear a siren, yes, every single time we learn of another senseless act of violence. We owe them our respect because they believed in safety and security and that freedom is worth protecting. Nous nous souviendrons de Sara et Rob Costello dans chacune de nos prières pour la paix. Chaque fois que nous remercions Dieu pour cette belle qualité de vie ici au Nouveau-Brunswick, et chaque fois que nous prierons pour la sécurité de nos agents de la paix, pour leurs familles et pour leurs amis. We will remember them for their callings, for their training, for their bravery and commitment every time we stand on guard for Thee. Every time we give thanks for a country like Canada, strong and free. We will remember them. Every time we thank a peace officer for the freedoms we each so take for granted. We will remember Sara and Rob for who each believed so strongly in seizing the moment, who both knew the value of giving back and whose smiles lit up a room. We will remember those smiles, their generosity, their contributions to this police force and to countless organizations and to the people of this city. We will remember them every time we hear the word hero. We remember them in every breath we take, knowing we are better for their actions, their duty, their devotion. We will remember them because now they watch over us and they guide us, and they will always protect us from above. We will remember them. We share in common sorrow. We grieve together. And together we thank you for sharing them with us. And as a community, a province, and a country, we offer our thanks forever.
I now invite Chief Leanne Fitch of the Fredericton Police Force to deliver the remembrance for our fallen members and a special message on behalf of the Fredericton Police Force. J'inviterai maintenant Chef Leanne Fitch de la Force policière de Fredericton à rappeler le souvenir de nos collègues qui ont perdu la vie et à transmettre un message spécial au nom de la Force policière de Fredericton.
Your Honors, Ambassadors, Senators, federal, provincial, and municipal officials, Chief Polchis, peace officers and first responders, members of my own force, friends, and families of the fallen members. Welcome, bienvenue, et tongok. I've been asked by so many times over this past week where I find the strength to stand before the community and our country to speak about the terrible murders of 4 of our citizens, 2 of whom were my officers. The horrible violence that took the lives of Constable Sara Burns and Constable Rob Costello, Bobby Lee Wright, and Donnie Adam Robichaud has shaken us all to the core here at home and across our country. Fredericton, with its 60,000 citizens, is small. As city employees, we've worked together for years with our firefighters and our comm ops, our recreation people. The list is long. Our police department, your police department, was made up of 105 officers, 20 civilian support staff, and 45 volunteers, including our auxiliary, one of which was Stephen Burns. Municipal policing in this capital city along the Woolawostock-St. John River is one of a kind and one of the oldest in Canada. We are a close policing family, and we are close with our community. When we sign up to serve and protect our city, we are committing our entire life's work to this service. And as of Friday, that service cost 2 of our police officers their lives. Rob and Sara had large families and many, many friends. Their connections are everywhere. Their deaths have created a ripple effect that stretches out as far as the ocean is deep. I'm here today with you to honor their lives and in hopes that they have found light through the darkness of their death. Je me présente devant vous avant d'honorer des parts du veille humain. Souhaitons que Sara et Rob ont trouvé la lumière malgré cette tragédie. I do this with the strength and courage because we ask for that courage from our officers every day and night that they lace up their boots and put on their body armor and duty belts and put on their badge and go to work to serve and protect our community. On Friday, August 10th, 2018, shortly after 0700 hours, during shift change, Rob and Sara drove courageously to a call of shots fired. They arrived on scene to find the bodies of Bobby Lee and Donnie on the ground. And in their effort to help those already fallen, they gave their lives in a final, selfless act of bravery. Many other of our officers responded from our Queen Street headquarters, courageously taking action in and around the hot zone in the midst of an ambush with a mission in mind to rescue those shot and to rescue others who were trapped in harm's way. So where do I get the courage? Speaking is both the least and the most I can offer right now. I can only do this through the strength of God and with your support and your prayers and your compassion. But now more than ever, we all need to continue to muster the courage and preparation for all of our tomorrows. We know that both Sara and Rob are positive to the core of their beings. We know their families want this message to be one of optimism. Despite our anger or fear at this dark time, the only way forward is through the same light of hope and compassion and love that Rob and Sara exuded for us every day. This is not the time for anger. This is the time when we have to become better and not bitter. L'heure ne suit pas à la couleur, mais bien à la réflexion et la consolation. Soyons tous humains. Anyone who knew Rob and Sara personally or professionally knows that they were the type of people who exemplified all that was good, tender, and joyful. They were dedicated and passionate about policing and so immensely proud to be members of our police force. You're going to find a lot of common messages, I think, after listening to everybody else and having last word. We really didn't get together and plan our scripts and what we were going to say, but I think that just means that you know how genuine all of these words are because you're hearing the same thing over and over again. That wasn't on my page. Rob Costello, Rob loved his dear Jackie, who gave him so much love in return. He adored his daughters, Cassie and Caitlin, and was a role model and a constant comfort, but I'm told sometimes a pest, to his stepchildren, Zach and Katie. As an only child, he loved his mother, Dolores, and had a large extended family. No mother should ever have to bury their child, and no children should ever lose a parent at such tender ages. Rob joined the Fredericton Police Force in 1998. Immediately after graduating from the Atlanta Police Academy. And that year, I had the good fortune of being Rob's primary field trainer. And I worked with him during his first stint on the job. Being a coach officer or a training officer is a special honor because it is during that time that special bonds are created and an officer's first impressions are made. I am so proud that Rob went on to become a use of force trainer, a fire range officer, a coach officer, an instructor for tactical communication and verbal de-escalation. It always warmed my heart to see him smile and to know that he loved his job. He loved being a police officer, and he knew that I knew he was a good man. I always made a point of telling him so. Rob wasn't even given the chance to use the full extent of his character and his skills last Friday, and yet there isn't a doubt in my mind that he went into that situation willingly and bravely to his last call, which was the first call of his day. He died a hero's death. Sara Burns. Sara leaves behind the love of her life, her husband Stephen, and their sons Duncan and Malcolm and Anderson, parents Marjorie and David, brother Rory, sister Emma, and her extended family, and her very beloved puppies, Murphy and Coco, and her horse Grimsby, which you saw today in parade. Sara started with the Fredericton Police Force as an auxiliary officer in 2013, and prior to that, Sara was a stay-at-home mom for over 14 years as she raised those beautiful, beautiful boys. They were her 3 shining stars of her life. At the age of 40, she decided to fulfill her lifelong dream and become a police officer, and she was hired shortly after graduating from the Atlanta Police Academy. She was considered among our finest of new officers with a bright future to match her beautiful, bright personality, enthusiasm, and joy that she had for life. I know how excited she was when she started on the auxiliary. Her determination to become a full-time officer was inspirational to all of us. Her smile could indeed bring a smile everywhere she went. She was so proud of being a Fredericton police officer, and she loved her policing family. Sara had a very special ability to calm people down and to de-escalate a crisis. And yet, like Rob, she didn't get a chance to use her gifts before being ambushed on her last call of her night shift, before she went home. I always felt that our police department and our city were better because of her, and that things would be okay in the years ahead. I don't think Sara knew how proud I was of her. And I'm heartsick to be too late in saying so. She died a hero's death. As Canadian police officers, I can say with certainty that Rob and Sara were proud to serve in a democratic and just society with all the fortunes and freedoms it affords. Sara and Rob served in their role with tremendous honor and courage and compassion and integrity as they upheld our Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms and their oath of office for all peoples equally. They didn't have a mean bone in their body. Just ask the people in our city, and they will tell you. Being a police officer in Canada is being a peace officer everywhere, and it was their wanting and working for peace that I will remember the most. This past week has been spent with families of Rob and Sara. with my members and their families, clergy, and countless others trying to make sense of the utterly senseless. How could we collectively as a society, as families and law enforcement agencies, miss this tragedy in the making? The same questions have been asked elsewhere during tragic times across this country, and most closely to home in Kodiak in 2014, when we lost our comrades with the RCMP to such violence. We all want the answers, and I know it's hard to be patient. It leaves many people wondering what to do next. In 2012, as an acting police chief, wise words were once spoken to me by John Cathcart, our former police chaplain before he moved away. I sought out his advice during a particularly difficult time. And he said, "Leanne, just let your light shine. Just let it shine." And when you rest on those 5 small words and spend some time reflecting on what it really means, you come to understand that by letting that light shine, that is the best that you can do. Let the light of our community shine on our sorrow and dry up our tears. Let your light shine upon each other and on those who are lost and searching and in need of help. Rob and Sara would not want us lost in the dark. They didn't want anyone to suffer alone in the dark or to be left out in the cold. The most we could do at this moment and in our tomorrows is to shine on our light and on our light for good in honor of their memory and everything that they stood for. We know that this past week is weaving us into a stronger, tighter community. We saw it in the hearts and hands across the city and with the hashtag Fredericton Strong. We can all see and feel it happening. As we try to reconcile the overwhelming and conflicting emotions of grief and gratitude, my hope for all of us and for Rob and Sara is that the weaving will result in a stronger fabric where the blue thread of law enforcement is sewn throughout and around and within our community, because none of us can do this alone. My words just feel so inadequate, and it's the hardest thing I've ever had to write, and Steve, I just can't imagine. Jackie, I'm so sorry. And while I'm trying to bring courage and hope to everyone, in my heart of hearts, when I look around, all I can see is the faces of my officers and their support workers, their families, and the dear families of Rob and Sara. To my officers who responded on scene and helped to rescue our citizens and neutralize the threat, who relied on your training and your calm and your skill. Only you really know how many lives you saved that day, including the lives of more of your colleagues. Of all my words, I just really need you, sitting right here in front of me today, to know how proud I am to be your chief, and how my heart is broken with you and for you. You save lives every day in so many ways when you put on that badge and head out onto our streets. I need you to hear my voice and that of your community and that of your country when I say you are all heroes, you are all brave, and I know that you set about to do your best every time you walk in and out of the doors of headquarters. To my senior command staff, and those of you who are specially sought out to stay on the clock with us and to support Rob and Sara's family and our members over this past 8 days, I've never been more honored to serve and to lead in my life. I could not ask for more. We will never be the same. We will be changed, and some of us will grieve longer and harder and struggle more, but that is when we turn towards one another, not away from one another, and not on one another. That is the last thing that Rob and Sara would want. To the 911 dispatchers and firefighters and EMS, my dear sweet colleagues at MB Chiefs, and all of their 9 municipal police departments and the RCMP, mental health professionals and funeral homes, to our city family and to the whole of our community, we could not have managed this past 8 days without you. Our department and our families, are so grateful for the outpouring of support from the law enforcement community, from citizens, and from Canadians. Notre force policière et nos familles sont si reconnaissantes de l'appui inconditionnel de tous les autres agents de la paix, des citoyens et des Canadiens. You have all been there for us, and we will continue to be there for you, even in our quietest moments. On behalf of our force, I thank you. Merci beaucoup et waliwan. Lastly, to the two families of our fallen officers, you need to know that your Sara and your Rob were our Sara and our Rob too. And they will live forever in your hearts and in ours. They gave their life selflessly as heroes. They went bravely into harm's way to protect others, and they served their very best to their last breath. 87306, Constable Costello and Constable Burns, 10-7 for shift. Sara and Rob, rest easy. God bless. We've got it from here.
I now invite the Right Reverend David Edwards, Bishop of Fredericton, to deliver the benediction. Maintenant, j'invite le Révérend David Edwards, l'évêque de Fredericton, à prononcer la bénédiction.
Before I give the benediction, just to express on behalf of the Anglican Diocese of Fredericton condolences to both families and to the law officers who serve us in this city and beyond. Let us pray. Lord God, we give you thanks for the lives of those who have died, and particularly in this place, on this day, for Sara and for Rob. We give you thanks for the police officers who serve and protect us. And Lord, we pray that we may know the closeness of your Holy Spirit. And now I'm going to use the words of an ancient Christian prayer. May the peace of God, which passes all understanding, keep your hearts and minds in the knowledge and love of God and of his Son, Jesus Christ. And the blessing of God Almighty, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be among us and remain with us, and with all for whom we pray, this day and forevermore. Amen.
We're now going to enter into a sacred ceremony that is practiced by military and paramilitary organizations. In a moment, you'll be asked to stand as the bugler, John Hann, plays Last Post. Last Post marks the moment of death. Last Post is followed by a moment of silence to mark the separation from our loved one. We will then hear the piper, Andy Rogers, play a lament. The lament is to symbolically demonstrate the sorrow of separation from our loved one. The final portion of this ceremony is a reveille, which marks the hope of resurrection and being reunited with our loved one. Nous allons maintenant procéder à une cérémonie sacrée pratiquée par les organisations militaires et paramilitaires. Dans un moment, on vous demandera de vous lever lorsque le clairon John Hann jouera la dernière sonnerie. La dernière sonnerie marque le moment de la mort. La dernière sonnerie est suivie d'un moment de silence qui marque la séparation d'avec nos proches. Nous entendrons ensuite le cornemuseur Andy Rogers jouer une élégie. L'élégie symbolise la peine que nous avons d'être séparés de ceux que nous aimons. La dernière partie de la cérémonie comporte le réveil. Le réveil marque l'espoir de la résurrection et le fait d'être réunis de nouveau avec ceux que nous aimons. I would ask that you please replace your headdress. Only Chief Fitch will salute on behalf of all uniformed personnel. S'il vous plaît, remettez vos chapeaux. Seulement Chef Fitch va saluer au nom de tout le personnel en uniforme. Please rise. Veuillez vous lever.
The following is a
Please be seated. Vous pouvez maintenant vous asseoir.
You're watching CBC News special coverage of the funeral in Fredericton, New Brunswick, of two municipal police officers killed in the line of duty last Friday, Constable Rob Costello and Constable Sara Burns. This is the flag ceremony where the flags draping each of the coffins are folded and presented to loved ones of the deceased officers. I'm joined by Roger Brown, retired from the RCMP a couple of years ago. Roger Brown was the Deputy Commissioner of the RCMP in New Brunswick, and he joins me now as we watch this ceremony conclude. Roger, this is an important part of today's events as well, the folding of these flags. Can you tell us a bit about it?
It is indeed, and this is, the ceremony is coming to a close, and at this point in time, the Canadian flags will be properly folded and presented to the families along with the headdress and the medals. And these are two constables who gave their life in service of the country, and this is very symbolic in that the Canadian flag going back is a thank you on behalf of the country. And what happens here is the police members will give the flag to the chief, who will then present it to the families, and it's it's starting to it's just starting to close the ceremony.
Yeah. All right. Roger Brown there talking about this rather intricate ceremony where these Canadian flags are lifted off the caskets and then folded carefully for presentation to the families of the officers. It's been a very moving ceremony today. The Aiken Centre in Fredericton, normally the scene of joyous events, sports events, graduations, concerts, but today the solemn recognition of sacrifice by 2 police officers killed in the line of duty. And Roger Brown joins me again. The pallbearers in this case are usually friends and colleagues of the deceased officers.
Yeah, there's two set of pallbearers, as you know. They're the honorary pallbearers, who generally speaking are very close friends with the members themselves, and their role is different than the actual pallbearers themselves. And as you see, during a regimental ceremonial funeral, the casket is actually carried, which requires the actual pallbearers to be of
a uniform
size, and to be able to carry it. So that's the difference in the two. And also, as part of the funeral as well, you'll see normally a close friend of the members of the organization will be the flag bearer or the headdress bearer, as you saw in this particular ceremony as well. All very, very significant, as it allows some sort of closure for them as well, being friends, and having watched this unfold in this week leading up to the ceremony today. And we're moving now, as you see, into the final part of the actual funeral ceremony, which becomes very, very reflective. It's very emotional. There's a lot of pent-up emotions, and very difficult time for everybody,
I'm sure. So the family receives whatever decorations the deceased has received.
Normally
the
it's
hat
their
or the forage
medals, their headdress, and the Canadian flag.
Understood.
Then what happens, as you will see, the members of the Fredericton Police Force will leave the auditorium as an organization, and they will come outside and form an honor guard. And then the 2 deceased members, the caskets will come out, and then the 2 hearses will leave and go through the procession with the Fredericton police members.
And this, of course, a very public ceremony. This is as much for the community at large as it is for the officers who knew Rob Costello and Sara Burns. The family later will have a more intimate or a more private ceremony?
Yes, and that's normally what happens in a ceremony such as this. This is the public part, but each family will then decide how to deal with the part of the burial on their own, and the vast majority of time it's a very private family service. And as you can imagine, this is a very, very difficult time to be in the limelight, and it doesn't allow the same process to grieve as it does in private, and that's how of course each one is different, but normally that's how they unfold.
Roger, can you tell me something too about the relationship between the families and the force after all the ceremony is finished? Does that continue?
Very much so. And, the whole aftercare portion has evolved a lot in the last few years. And, families can't just be expected to pick up and move on. And there are a lot of follow-up. not only from an administrative perspective, but from the care, and to keep them involved, to keep their children involved. And you know, as you see a lot of members wearing the ribbons that I'm wearing, and the Blue Ribbon Society actually raises money for families to help them with their education and to help them get support that they need moving forward. Also in the professional world as well, that's evolved to a point where aftercare, self-care in the professional world, that continues. There are members of the organization who will continue to follow up with the families to assist them, because sometimes the most difficult parts are actually the days that lie ahead, the weeks that lie ahead, and the months that lie ahead. And everything becomes an anniversary, and the anniversary of, and the Christmases, the New Year's, all those kinds of things. Very difficult times ahead.
Certainly hard to imagine the return to normalcy in losing a loved one is difficult, but in this case we're also talking about, for want of a better word, institutions. You know, the force itself, having lost members, returning to normal must be a prolonged process.
Force honor guard to stand and prepare
I'm not sure.
honor outside.
I'm not sure if they ever do return to normal, to be frank. And Chief Fitch mentioned that in her remarks, that the organization will have changed. And I think that's a fair statement. And I sometimes, what it means is the ability to come to grips with the new reality, whatever that is. And, you know, Monday morning, when a Fredericton police officer responds to a call, this event will always be in the back of their minds. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a shooting. It can be a suspicious person. It can be a domestic dispute. Sure. But it changes one's view of the work that we do on a daily basis, and it's something that everybody wrestles with and try to figure out how to come to grips with it.
I should mention that the Fredericton Police Force has received considerable support from sister organizations around the province. I ran into Bruce Connell, the chief of the St. John Police, the other day, and he was in Fredericton because he has officers here that have come up to back up the Fredericton Police so that they could take the time they needed to come to terms with what the force has been through in the past week. And in a similar vein, I think there are officers from Miramichi, probably from Moncton, who have all come in to take over their responsibilities in the day-to-day running of the force.
Well, Chief Paul Finder is the president of the Brunswick Association of Chiefs of Police, and I know he stepped up to the plate to assist in the policing of the city the last week, and they've also got police organizations from all around that are actually policing today to allow the police officers from New Brunswick to be part of this ceremony. And you know, it should also be noted that a lot of these members who are working in this role today assisted in Moncton as well.
Right.
So they're reliving some of those parts while doing this at the same time. And but that's when we realize how much of one family we are. So it doesn't really matter the uniform at this point in time. It doesn't matter the color of the stripe on your pants. Citizens pull together, police officers pull together, and really try to move forward together in unison, and that's the beauty of it.
You hear that word a lot. Certainly we did today in the eulogies and some of the commentary from this service. The idea of family, and that word gets thrown around a lot where it may not really be appropriate, but in this case, where you see these forces,
and their families.
You see these forces helping one another.
We ask that you please remain in your
It truly
seats
is that kind of intensity, a family intensity.
It is, and you know, maybe the word family is not the right one, but what it is everybody working in unison towards a common goal. Yeah. And normally that's what families do. And
but there's an intense emotional connection as well.
Very much so. And you know, a lot of police forces too have family members that are part of the organization, and it requires everybody to be on the same page with respect to how we move forward and how we take care of each other. And I noticed Chief Fitch when she said, you know, this is a time for everybody to look towards each other, not away from each other and not on each other. In other words, you know, these things happen. We don't really understand them. When we look at Constable Burns' husband, in his words, he said, this is not a time to ask why, and this is not a time for blame. And, you know, as hard as that is to accept, it's true. Humans, we always want to look deeper and say, why did this happen, and who was responsible?
Always looking for answers.
Absolutely, but now, really, the fact is, we all have to look tomorrow. We look at tomorrow and figure out how we can be stronger, how we can stay together and move forward.
Interesting you mentioned that, you know, families in the force, best exemplified perhaps by Sara Burns, who was a full-time serving officer. Her husband, Stephen Burns, was an auxiliary officer. So there you have that, that commitment of two members.
And, you know, Chief Fitch, you know, her partner is a member of the Fredericton Police Force as well, and that happens a lot in policing in today. And you know, you look at the organization differently. Here we see, you know, the flags are presented to the family, and both members on their last journey.
Yeah.
Pretty emotional, pretty touching for everybody there, and
it is. And as I mentioned prior to the service, this is a small and intimate enough city that that intimacy that we see here goes beyond the walls of this arena and includes the whole community.
Absolutely.
You know, there are very few degrees of separation in this city, and invariably you don't have to go far before you find someone who is related to or knows someone in the police force,
or who were involved in assisting in the past week. And you know, that's, you know, we saw that when we lived through it in Moncton, obviously. But you don't have to drive anywhere in this city of Fredericton before you realize how much the city's been affected and how much everybody stood up to the plate to really make a difference at the end of the day.
So now we see the caskets, the coffins, on their way down the aisle. And Fredericton police officers will form an honor guard.
That's right. And at this point in time, once the two hearse goes through the honor guard, it'll allow them one last time to salute their fallen comrades. And again, it's a gesture. It's a show of support, and it's their last time to say goodbye and to give them a salute and say thank you. And that's a big part of the ceremony as well.
A bittersweet moment, no doubt.
You also notice that as the members march out with a casket or march in, the cadence is different. They march to the parade. It's a normal parade, and during a procession like this, it's normally a slow march, more somber, and again, it's all the reflection and the reality of what has occurred. I found it interesting in the eulogy for Constable Costello. He said it's not who the job was not what he did, it's who he was.
Yes.
And a lot of times when you're talking about peace officers and first responders, it's often referred to as a calling. It's not a job. It's who we are.
Something much more stronger.
It's much deeper.
Yeah.
It becomes part of who you are as a person, and you don't take off the uniform and go home and not be a police officer. You're a police officer or a first responder 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no matter where you are.
And it brings out qualities too. I think we heard in some of the comments made about Sara Burns, I had mentioned earlier that her husband had said to me, you know, she was a very private person, someone who, you know, wasn't necessarily as outgoing and gregarious as others might be, but when she put on the uniform, that changed.
Yeah.
And she, you know, she was able to connect with people
in a different way.
In a different way.
And it's interesting. But then again, you know, if you look, she went into policing later on in life.
Right.
It was always a dream of hers.
Yeah.
Something she always wanted to do, and had the ability to do it, unfortunately, for a short period of time. And but you know, it's not the amount of time that you serve. It's what you do when you serve. And when listening to how she was described, I'm sure that she probably had as much impact in her short time of service as some would have had in their entire service. And we need to take, you know, her family needs to take a tremendous amount of pride in what she did and how much she gave. Ultimately, her life on the end.
I think that was richly evident today.
Absolutely.
In the comments we heard about Sara Byrne's life as a police officer, and Rob Costello's, who was at the opposite end of the service extreme. He had 20 plus years of service.
And interesting that the Chief Fitch would have been his field coach.
Yes.
And you can see, you know, when Chief Fitch was actually speaking, how much that affected her to know that she was there in the beginning of his career, and she's a chief at the end of his life and the end of his career, which is obviously very, very emotional, very hard to accept, and hard to understand at some points. Here are the hats of the pallbearers.
Of the pallbearers.
When they carry, there's a hat bearer that will take theirs while they carry, and then present them back when the procession leaves. But you see on the faces of everybody there the deep emotion.
Deep. And here we are again outside the Aitken Centre as the coffins carrying Rob Costello and Sara Byrnes are lowered and put into the back of the hearses that have been waiting. Inside the Aitken Centre, you could hear a pin drop. It's very quiet. You mentioned Mayor Thorpe earlier in the broadcast, Roger, and you were in that service. You were in that regimental funeral. Here we have, that was quite, you know, a few years ago. Here we have this shooting in Fredericton, and 4 years ago in Moncton, devastating attack against police officers in such a small place. How is it that we wind up with two events like this in such a short period of time? I mean, is that simply the luck of the draw, or?
I think it's the reality of today.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're seeing far more of these, and it's the stark reality of police work, the work of first responders. I would love to think that you and I are watching the last one, the last regimental funeral of two police officers killed on duty. Is that a reality? Probably not.
Probably not.
And, you know, it's unfortunate. And we have to continually strive towards a day when it won't happen. But the reality is that we're seeing it more frequently and sometimes more violently. And at times like this, it's also a reminder, I guess, for everybody in all walks of life, in all society, whether it be government and so on, to work together to try and deal with it from a prevention perspective. But also, it begs all of us to work stronger towards the aftercare, the dealing with the issues of the mental health fallout. We're dealing with traumatic events, putting things in place to allow us, or to allow first responders and their families to get the treatment that's necessary to be able to build back up and go back to work and continue to have a whole life. Because when an event like this takes place, people leave things behind, and very, very difficult. You don't go through an event like this in an organization, click your heels, and say that was yesterday, this is a new day, tomorrow I'm going to move on. You just learn to live life differently, and that's the reality.
And of course, this just 2 of 4 deaths that occurred on Friday. Rob Costello and Sara Burns, 2 constables responding to an emergency call, at which 2 civilians also died.
It certainly adds a different complexity to the whole situation, but also then again to the realization that the vulnerability is there to everybody at large. And I think this week, when you look at a lot of the events that occurred in and around the city, the focus was on all 4 civilians. Obviously the 2 police officers who were responding to assist those who had previously fallen, and it's quite emotional when you see it all unfold. This is the final salute to their fallen members as the hearse goes past each and every one of them. I can tell you how difficult that is, standing in the line and watching.
Yeah. You can see the members of the Fredericton police force lined up on the other side of the hearses at attention. A salute to 2 colleagues we've heard so much about today, about their strength, the quality of character, their commitment to their families, to the city they served, and to one another. As the hearses drive further down the University of New Brunswick campus, these men and women watching, knowing that they are bearing away the bodies of their friends and colleagues. A difficult moment.
It's an interesting command. Fredericton Police Force, to your duty, dismiss. Back to service.
Yeah. There's a job to be done.
It's a job to be done. That's the part of the calling that it's very difficult to try and put to words, but you know, to your duty has a whole new context.
Yes.
When you see that unfold, and you realize that when you leave to go to work, you look at your family and you look at them differently, and they look at you differently. And that's the difficulty for families to try and understand this whole notion of that calling, that profession of first responders, and actually what it's all about.
A deep-seated commitment.
Very much so, to a point where you know that at any one time a life could be lost.
And there, the two hearses leaving the grounds of UNB. After an emotional and powerful ceremony honoring the lives and the careers of Constable Rob Costello and Constable Sara Burns, both who died in the line of duty last Friday. Roger Brown, getting back to the chief of the Fredericton Police Force. Her comments today at the ceremony really marked the personal and her role as chief of police. Leanne Fitch had to, in a sense, straddle both of those because she knew both these officers as well as managing them. Her comments were profound and eloquent.
And that's, you know, that showed the difficulty, and as she mentioned, she has 105 sworn police officers. And in an organization that small, you do get to know everybody.
Yes.
And Leanne was a police officer, went up through the ranks, was a field coach for Rob. And but she also said something else. And she said that, unfortunately, she didn't feel that she had the opportunity to tell Sara how much she thought of hers. Sarah's a younger constable, and obviously in a paramilitary organization, sometimes the difference between a young constable and a chief sometimes puts in false barriers with respect to how people will actually relate to one another. But Chief Fitch is a very personable individual, and you know, trying to relate to those members as best she can at all levels, but very difficult being the chief and also being one of them at the same time, and then being part of the community.
You know, a situation I'm sure you found yourself in as well with the shootings in Moncton and the aftermath there.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And the Aitken Centre begins to empty out with more than 1,500 members in uniform and first responders who had attended this regimental funeral. The Lieutenant Governor, the Premier of the province was here, MPs and MLAs, the Commissioner of the RCMP, all now leaving the Aitken Centre and returning to life as normal, if it can be said to be normal after
as normal as it can be. And I think that's up to each and every individual now to try and figure out what the new normal is and where you fit within that sense of normalcy, and to look after each other. And I think that's the most important part right now, is to ensure, from Chief Fitch's perspective and from the public's perspective, that everybody continues to look inwardly, to look out for and look after each other, as opposed to looking outwards and trying to understand questions as to why and to lay blame and those kinds of things, because that's of no value. We're looking inwardly. Looking after each other is of utmost value with respect to the members, the first responders, and their families once again.
Yes, the question why is a tough one that people will wrestle with. You know, another perspective of what we've seen here today is that in the sacrifice that Rob Costello and Sara Burns made in the execution of their duties, they have brought a community together to a deeper understanding of the role first responders play, the risks they engage in, the challenges they face. We don't often think of that.
No, and you know, sometimes as unfair as it may seem, sometimes it takes an event like this to open up the doors or open up the windows to a first responder's world. We don't often get the opportunity, nor do we seek out opportunities to really explain to the public what the job really entails. We see a police officer in a police car, you see them respond, you see them in public events. Very seldom do you get to a point where you see how they are as human beings, to understand how hurt they are, to understand what it means to be fearful, to understand how it is to be emotional, but at the same time remain in control and to be able to do your job and to be able to be professional. And again, Chief Fitch in her remarks talked about, symbolically obviously, of being able to weave that blue line,
blue thread
in the community as a whole. And I was in the States a month ago when a police officer got killed on Cape Cod, and a month after the event they were actually having community events to keep the police and the community together after the event, and it was just for that. They didn't want this to be a one-off. The funeral is over, let's move on, because the reality is this could very well happen again. We hope not, but if it does, we all need to work together, and nobody is in a position to be able to deal with these events on their own. It's impossible. You can't do this on your own, and I think that was illustrated through how the police organizations work together in planning the funeral. Bringing a funeral of this size together is no small feat, and everybody did what they needed to do to bring this to a successful conclusion from a ceremonial perspective. But now the real work begins,
of course,
to make sure we're all together.
Now, so that investigation and the following up on the investigation into what happened on Friday won't be conducted by the Fredericton Police Force. It'll be conducted by the RCMP.
Obviously, Fredericton Police, just for reasons of impartiality and otherwise, and emotionally and otherwise, the investigation has been totally turned over to another police organization to conduct the investigation as a whole. And that's the way it's always done. It doesn't matter where, and it doesn't matter who, it's just another organization. And then there will be another independent investigation done from the police shooting perspective, and that's another organization that would deal with that as well.
How common are events like this in the United States? Because we don't often see or hear of regimental funerals like this.
It happens far more often in the States, and unfortunately, from what I saw the last time when I was down there, the level of complacency is that much higher. Really? And right now you're seeing a surge on behalf of the chiefs. The chiefs of police in the States right now are taking a very aggressive approach with respect to the citizens and with respect to the media in asking them to, let's work together to prevent that from happening again. And we're not there, luckily. I think in Canada we're very fortunate that it's not an everyday event, and I don't think we have that level of complacency. As a matter of fact, I think we are fortunate in that the level of respect for police officers is still very, very high. The level of respect for all responders are high. And second of all, everybody recognizes how we need to continually work together to make communities stronger. So we're not where they are, nor would we want to be.
All right.
Hopefully
Roger
not.
Brown, thank you for that. Julia Wright is at one of the viewing centers. There were a couple of viewing centers set up for people who were perhaps participating or observers of the parade, but couldn't get into the Aiken Center because it was a select group, family, officers, other first responders. Julie is at the one of those viewing centers now. And Julie, you have a guest there, a member of the Canadian Forces?
Well, that's right, Harry. As you mentioned, people gathered in the rain. They gathered together in Fredericton today to pay their respects, and many of them were here at the Grant Harvey Centre and at other overflow venues. With me now is Warrant Officer David John and his wife Amanda. I wanted to ask you, David, what did it mean to you today as a member of our armed forces to see this service?
It means a lot. This touches base, touches home for me. I've had to bring back troops from overseas and been a part of these kinds of military ceremonies in the past. So yes, it's good to see.
And what sort of impression does it leave with you as someone who may find themselves in a situation where you put your own life on the line?
Well, we signed up for this at the end of the day. But yeah, it's good to see that if this tragedy happens, that the families are taken care of, and that there's forces out there to back us.
What impression has the past week in Fredericton left on this city, and how do we begin to heal from something like this?
Well, I think it's had a huge impression. It's been all over the news. Everybody's tracking this, but I think we just have to take a step back, think about who we've lost, and carry on.
And what was one of the most poignant moments for you today?
Just observing how professional the service was, the ceremony was, and how much support was there for the families.
And were you also present along the parade route?
Nope, we came here nice and early. I thought it'd be a little bit busier here, but I'm happy we came.
And leaving today, going forward, what lesson can we learn from all this?
Well, what happened was a tragedy. It couldn't have been anticipated, but keep our training up, and there's always backup. There's always more. So we got to be careful out there. But things happen, and we just have to carry on.
I want to thank you both, David and Amanda, for speaking with us and for being with us here today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So there you have it. To echo the words of the homily by the Most Reverend Bishop Harris of the Diocese of St. John, this is an event from which we will never, after which we're never going to be the same. And certainly, even though this regimental funeral is now drawing to a close, the support, the pride that Frederictonians have demonstrated in those who serve is something that's going to stay with us for years to come.
All right, Julia, thank you for that. Julia Wright from one of the viewing centers in Fredericton, where people gathered to watch this regimental funeral, which, as you can see behind me, is just breaking up now as people leave the Aiken Center in Fredericton. It has been an afternoon of high emotion, I think it's fair to say. Chief Leanne Fitch spoke movingly of the two officers that worked on the force. She, of course, had a personal connection with Rob Costello, having had a hand in training him early in his career. Sara Burns, she said she had wished that she had had more time to give the kind of encouragement and support that officers need through their careers. But she went on to point out that both officers died heroes' deaths, and that trying to make sense of what has happened is senseless. Trying to make sense, rather, of the senseless is a challenge. Roger Brown still with me here. Julia Wright and her guest were talking about the relationship between the police and communities, and it's at a time like this that communities get a rarer understanding of the kind of commitment officers make when they join the police force, and that this is a good opportunity for everyone to think about the nature of a police officer's job.
Well, I think what happens is what most people don't realize until they see something like this, where you see the emotions surface, that police officers are human as well. Yeah. And when police officers go home, they go home to a regular family life. They go to regular hockey games. They're involved in the community on a whole bunch of different levels. But it's not until you see an event like this that totally opens up the doors, that allows for a chief to speak from the heart and say exactly what it means and show emotion. That's just, you know, that's the way life really is. And it's oftentimes in the past, police officers were viewed to be very stoic behind a uniform, just the facts, no emotion, and that's just simply not
It
the
is
reality.
perhaps easier in a community like Fredericton for people to come to that understanding because of the smaller population. The police officer who responds to a call for an alarm or a missing child may be the same person you see at the hockey arena when you take your kid for a game, or that you see in the lineup at the movies. These are people who, you know, in a sense, have their life in uniform and their life out of uniform. And engaging them in the community in both of those manifestations becomes really important.
It does, and you know, but as you and I spoke earlier, as a police officer, it's not a job, it's a lifetime. You're never off duty per se. So in a community like Fredericton, you may not be wearing the uniform and on shift, but you're still a police officer in that community. And should something happen, I'm sure they would be in a position to respond and would respond. And you know, in an event like this as well, I think it really forces all of us to look forward as to what we can do to make things better and easier. And that whole notion of aftercare for the members, and I would go out on a limb and say that, you know, there may be members of the Fredericton Police Force that will come to a realization that they can no longer do that job in the capacity they did after having lived through what they did. If you look at Mirthorpe, if you look at some of the events in the past in other areas, the effect was that dramatic on some of those areas. But that's okay. That's fine, as long as the individual realizes that he or she can speak about how they're feeling and can seek the help that they need to be able to become a holistic person and a community member, whether it was in the role they had prior to, or it's in a different role that will allow them to be of service in a different capacity.
We talked earlier as well about the what is to come in the next weeks and months as the regimental funeral, this ceremony, memories of that fade, but you're still, as a serving officer in a police force, left with the realization that people you worked with, people you cared for, are no longer there. That's got to be
well, that's the hard
difficult
part.
point.
That is
to
the
get
hard
over.
part. And you know, it's like you know, it's I always refer to as the Tuesday morning after, when everybody else are gone back to work, and you have to go back in a position that is no longer the same. And in the past week, I can assure you that there were people everywhere, in every capacity, wanting to assist Chief Fitch, and the Fredericton Police Force in doing any capacity possible. But next week, they're not there anymore. And these police officers have to go back to doing what they once did without that assistance or without the overt assistance. The assistance is there, but oftentimes will have to be called upon, and that's the difference. Plus, how you approach police work is different. I recall, you know, in Moncton, we're on a construction site when a dump truck dumped a load of gravel, and when the tailgate of the truck closed and made a loud noise, the whole community was in an uproar because they related back to what had occurred a week prior. Of course, when the police responded, they responded differently than they did the week before. And it was that sensitization of what was happening, and people were much more vulnerable. And then it took a long time to try and bring the community and the police organization back to reality and learning how to operate in the new norm. very difficult.
It's a time where, I guess, in a community, everyone has to look out for everyone else.
That's right.
Look to the future. Roger Brown, I want to thank you so much for being with us today. You've brought tremendous insight and understanding, not just to this ceremony we've witnessed in the past couple of hours, but to the broader understanding and the broader implications of a tragedy like this. And thank you for taking the time to do that.
Thank you for what you do. I think the media did a great job in helping the public understand what's going on as well, so thank you.
All right. Good to see you,
Take
Roger.
care.
Thank you. Roger Brown, retired commanding officer of the RCMP in New Brunswick, and of course the man at the center of the storm in 2014 when Moncton lost 4 RCMP officers in a shooting event. That is our broadcast from Fredericton. I want to thank viewers in New Brunswick and right across the country who took the time to share in this event and perhaps come away with a better understanding of the relationship between the men and women who are in uniform in the communities they serve. We're going to leave you now with some reflection on today's events and some thoughts from some of the people who watched. I'm Harry Forrestel. Thank you for joining us.
We are here today to mourn the terrible loss of Constable Sara May Helen Burns and Constable Lawrence Rob Costello, who died in the line of duty while serving and protecting the citizens of Fredericton.
Almighty God, the rain in our city today represents the tears of sadness and grief that flow from our hearts, brought about by the terrible and senseless loss of these 2 heroes we dearly love.
I am the husband of the most beautiful and caring woman I have ever met. We need to celebrate her life and focus on how we will help each other move forward.
She was out working as an officer. She treated people with respect and compassion, especially to those who really needed it.
It is an honor to speak to those gathered here and beyond about the type of a person Rob was. Rob Costello was a kind, caring, and compassionate friend to those who knew him. He loved his mother fondly, he loved his girls Cassie and Caitlin, and he loved his partner Jackie. We will never forget you. Your brothers in blue will never forget you. You have finished your shift. You are off duty. Take a deep breath. You are home now.
Rob and Sara would not want us lost in the dark. They didn't want anyone to suffer alone in the dark or to be left out in the cold. The most we could do at this moment and in our tomorrows is to shine on our light and on our light for good in honor of their memory and everything that they stood for. Rest easy. God bless. We've got it from here.
It was a day we'll not forget. You took the call, serve and protect. And we're proud to say your smile still shines. We've been told pain heals with time. But you know